nearly, if not better than Warlock now with the raw damage output. So I'm curious to see, you know, it's funny now that the new hit scan or the essentially the strategist too that's playing more technical heroes are now playing Luna just due to the raw damage output and finding a ton of value. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I know he just loves that hero. I think it does so much damage, like you said. I mean, there's so much value to be had in that hero in terms of, you know, the damage output, like you mentioned. And I think we've seen, you know, how good Luna Snow ult is, and people have mentioned how clunky, you know, Luna Snow Dance Floor, Fate of the Worlds can feel in terms of the fact that, you know, you have another 500 ultimate charge you need to build to get that ultimate. But it is, like you said, that neutral that kind of can change and dictate a lot of fights. Luna Snow does have that damage potential, and I think, you know, he can carry on that hero too. So we've seen the value of that hero. We've also seen how prioritized that hero is in terms of the ban phase for teams. In terms of 100 Thieves, I think every time they banned out the Luna, it didn't work out, obviously, but you know, I think a lot of teams are scared of that hero. Coming into today, though, the Loki and the Mantis are banned for Team Nemesis, or from Team Nemesis side. They don't want to play against Sentinels in that triple res composition. We've seen how good they can be, and they protected Cloak and Dagger. I know Nemesis loved that hero with Mr. Dinks.
Yeah, Nemesis, for those who don't know, actually old Team Shikigami, and they are known for running that Cloak and Dagger and essentially inventing that rush strategy of using that ult incredibly quick to hopefully buy you the first fight, and then honestly by fight 2 almost has ult back again. So it is a smart strategy. As you see that lock there, the bans and picks were virtually the same across the board, but there we go as we see the lock in there for the side of Sentinels, and that's going to go to Crimzo.
Yep, and just to reiterate again, for if you're just tuning in for the first time in these grand finals, it is an asynchronous ban phase, right? So the blue team gonna have those protects a little bit earlier than the other side, than the red side, who gets 3 bans in a row. It just syncs up on that third phase, right? It's ban at the same time, then a protect, then a ban, and then another double ban, and then it's kind of the same thing except flipped, you know, on the other side. So if you're wondering how that goes, and they're not global bans. So as you see, Team Nemesis cannot play Mantis, Mantis, Loki, Human Torch, or Emma. Opposite side for Sentinels, same exact thing. However, the protections were at least a little bit maybe interesting in terms of strategies revealed with the Captain America protected alongside Magneto for Team Sentinels.
Big fan of Krakoa as we head into the Sentient Island, and I'm excited to see how this shakes out. Potential portal play off the rip again to get that space. We've been seeing that a ton at this level of play, just getting that space early and then bunkering in and locking down Nemesis. We've had the discussion, not afraid to run more unique things. We'll see if anything changes here as we press into the rematch in the final breakdown of this bracket. Will they get the higher seed?
Yeah, I think they might. We'll see what happens as we get a little bit of a perspective on both spawn doors. Going to be starting out on the waterfall map here on Krakoa as we get another little view of the boy. I love getting the perspective of those little guys around the map. It's always fun. But Sentinels rocking out with that Iron Man alongside a triple strategist composition. They love playing triple strategist, and I think it is good right now from what we've seen ship.
Yeah, I think triple, as long as you got the Ultron, right? Ultron, just so much burst damage, and we will see success here. I'm sure Nectar, last time I had eyes on Nectar, 30-1 with Ultron. Incredible positioning. When you have the least of times of being KO'd, it's all about where you're stationed, and that's everything at this level of play. Mello on height. Mello, a mean Psylocke as well. One of the shining stars of this team, trying to get that dance of the butterfly early, right? Amazing on the Iron Man. Saw the switch on Iron Man and Clintar last time with this matchup, so that is interesting. Like we said, matchup last time went in the favor of Sentinels 2-0. Mello on the off angle here. There are a lot of pressure as Scatter finds Ryan Amazing out of the sky.
Yeah, huge pick on the Ryder, trying to sustain build up towards that Ultron ultimate, but they just cannot right now. Mello perfectly timed with that dive, also has that Snowflake Amadian also on the Nectar, and this is probably the best round I think for this Hela comp. As you can find those picks, you can kind of play in the open. Sentinels, they wanted to build ultimate quick there. You know, you had the team up as well with the Ultron to give a little bit more healing towards that hero. But Ryan Amazing is going to swap over to that Bucky for the counter dive. We'll see if that's the adjustment that pans out for them. I mean, we saw on the other side 100 Thieves tried something similar versus FlyQuest, but FlyQuest is also running triple on their side. Team Nemesis are just doing a typical 2-2-2.
Yeah, Nemesis is very close to a 6 stack of ultimates. Out goes the Meteor from Scatter. Does not connect Nectar, launching the Ultron's Rage as well. As that is out, is that find value? No. And the team is now pressing forward with the dance floor. Sentinels just trying to get this space back and own the point. Not able to do so yet. 45% on for Nemesis. Does the Meteor land. Great iframe there with the goddess in the sky, starting to put a ton of damage out. Will they be able to follow up? Not quite yet. More damage from a Median, like we said, great iframe to avoid the Meteor M, putting some damage onto the Vanguard line of Sentinels.
Back and forth, Median eventually with a techie. Nice shot from him. Here comes the Kraken impact. Frozen. What a freeze, by the way, but didn't end up mattering. Just slowed him down temporarily, as it looks like Sentinels as a unit walked up with that freedom charge, found the eliminations required, and Team Nemesis are sent back to spawn.
I'm not upset with that if I'm Team Nemesis. Forced out nearly every ultimate. Obviously, Ultron getting that all back incredibly quickly. Ready again almost in the next fight. But Nemesis, 75% in the first take. And now they're going to be roughly even on ults besides that Ultron, as discussed. So fight's now pretty neutral. We'll see how this works for them. But if they get that ult advantage and win one more fight, it's a teleport play away from a W.
One teleport away as well, for sure. And now Sentinels just gonna play it slow, give up a little bit of that space top left high ground as Nemesis. They're trying to like group around, right? It's sort of easy to take these flank angles like Pros mentioned, so Sentinels sort of forced to group up as a unit, and now here comes that dive.
Yeah, Mello consistently on off angles. Something to learn if you're playing Duelist and Ladder. Scatter on a Crimzo, and nice early find again by Scatter, back-to-back in these fights. Meteor M did not find any purchase. Nectar trying to battle back from this Bond. The Bond still going to stay up as Scatter finds another. Mello onto Nectar, Craze onto Amazing, and Nemesis looking like a fresh new team here. About at 90, working their way to 90%, in Sentinels. We're going to have to teleport in with Techie.
They are. I mean, right now, it's looking like the only way to really counter the dive with a triple Strategist composition is with the Mantis to kind of run around, disengage. Also with another fantastic Strategist ultimate. Unfortunately, Ultron's ult, not enough to live here. Here comes an ultimate as well. Dance the Butterflies from Mello as the portal comes out. A lot of damage coming through on the Sentinels towards the objective.
Yeah, Mello, great damage there, but it does get negated by the crystals, getting run at by Cap. Cap, just a very difficult hero to drop when cooldowns are off. In the sky, onto that Cap, as discussed, dashes right back into the dance floor. Team is trying to group now. Once again, Nemesis holding at 99%, armed and dangerous. Here comes the Kraken impact. Will they be able to find anything? It is reset as Dinks goes down, and that's the key. If you can hit a ton, as long as anyone hits that threshold, they will get KO. Down go two, as Amazing finds another, but no reset there. But will they get the point? They're holding on to the point there.
I mean, they definitely could have used it, but luckily Ricky was in that spot towards the left side. And right now, Sentinels are going to reclaim the objective. Like you said, Shiv, they just kind of got separated, got smoked by Amazing in that ultimate, and right now Sentinels are sitting pretty on the objective, but they have to worry on their defense now, as they only have that Ultron ult ready to go. Team Nemesis again are going to do that surround play they did previously, and in the neutral, I would say that definitely has an edge. We saw over in EMEA, VP did very well with the Mantis, with the triple res, with the Atom. Felt like it was easier to sustain with that composition. At least with the Ultron, Luna, and the Loki, it's definitely hard to find those eliminations with the damage boost and stuff to deal with people like Mello and Kraz just constantly diving on you.
Yeah, I think I still gotta give some credit. Sentinels winning that fight, building up an ultimate charge. It was a testament to patience. They did not stress over the fact that the point was still capped by Nemesis. Sentinels waiting it out and then turning around. Mello once again trying to find this early pick. A ton of value as the damage is pouring. Roughly 80% there to ultimate. Nectar getting eaten by Meteor M, not able to weave that under that door. And Aramori finds Craze early, and this could be good for Sentinels now up in numbers. Aramori popping that ultimate. Out goes the Bond to match. Amazing holding on with Crimzo, and it's alt advantage for Sentinels. Will they be able to hold this down and take the first map here as Amazing is ready? Not able to get anything just yet. Out goes that. Oh, Dance the Butterfly. Mello, I believe, did not find any value there either. Did force out some cooldowns, but not enough to get a pick. As we see, oh, the Eye of Agamotto here. Oh, gets canceled.
Oh, we got what a cancel there onto that Eye of Agamotto there. And now Sentinels playing around their dance floor, able to find a Median as well. Goes down the Hella player. That's so much damage removed. Right now, Sentinels were trying to get eliminations through those shield cutoffs, but could not from Techie. It was really well avoided. But right now, Dinks is chased down, smoked by Techie, and all of Sentinels are just on this objective. Team Nemesis, they have to rely on a portal from a Median last second, but it's not there. Sentinels win round number 1 on Krakoa.
Yeah, great patience, great understanding of the game, and alt charge across the board. They really just were not stressing, although they were down heavy. That, you know, you may be saying, how did that cancel happen for Strange? Believe it or not, it was actually a hella mini stun, I believe. So maybe a lesser used part of the kit at this level of play can be used for things like that to shut down ultimates. Well played again, but Sentinels, that patience really showed up for them, really panned out for them, as they were not able, Nemesis was not able to take that back.
Yeah, it was very close. I think I was a little worried for Sentinels because it felt like they were getting utility for super early in their abilities, right? AMER had the crystal after Nectar committed the firewall to kind of sustain in the back, but didn't really matter. They just walked up, and you talked about earlier, Shiv, how lethal Luna Snow is. That's a great call out right now, as Kurova, just with that clap, able to do so much damage downrange, able to support his team as they walk forward, as he is the highest healing strategist on his team. Right now, Sentinels looking really damn good. Team Nemesis, though, it's close.
And the advantage of using that portal early there by Techie on Sentinels is that it's ready again. 3-minute cooldown, ready for the start of this fight. Both teams are doing it. Almost forced him back into the other spawn. I believe it did. That's just some meta placement right there. Just knowing where it might go. And Techie does have that eye off the rip. We got to see if Scatter can push forward past the shield. And there it is, waiting out the cooldowns. Does get a few. Can they follow up on it? On to Craze, and Craze is able to escape. Wow, what a just a great play by the strategist to keep him up in that fight. Did not expect that. Well played.
No, I didn't expect that either. And now Sentinels on the objective, forcing away Nemesis. Mellow gone out of the fight. Not ideal, considering the Dance of the Butterflies will really help him here. Oh, what a freeze from the back line. On the other side from Sentinels, Kurova hits that freeze on the Eye of Agamotto in the sky, or rather, Techie had his Eye of Agamotto frozen, I think, and then now here comes Amazing on the backside. Dink's gonna go down to the Kraken Impact. A little bit of support here now as they bought time for Mellow to come back, but this is so much damage to Kraken Impact, forcing a Hella Ultimate in the sky.
Yeah, one thing you may notice at this level of play is how long it takes to get the point off the rip in these fights. These teams are so skilled and talented and such good understanding of cooldowns, but as we say that, it looks like Sentinels will be taking the beginning of this point, as it has not started at all on either side, and forcing Team Nemesis back to the spawn door.
Sent back right now, slowing down the game a little bit. His team Sentinels right now do have that Eye of Agamotto ready. Same thing with the side of Nemesis, but they'll be able to surround Sentinels right now, who are stacking as a unit, right? You do have some members in terms of Crimzo looking around the map, trying to dive onto a Madian, make sure he's sort of out of position. Not a lot of sustain for him because he doesn't have that triple strategist that Amazing does have to support him.
Yeah, it's been difficult to see all these Strange Alts be canceled when we just came from a map where Strange Alts were super impactful early on there. So you're seeing all the ability of this backline to make Strange not be able to get that eye off. And we're going to initiate again on the side of Nemesis with Craze trying to keep the team up with that Freedom Charge. It is essentially another strategist ultimate as it's matched right back. Eye of Agamotto goes out, finds value this time. Can they get focused? They do. Nice pick there on Amazing, using that shield like we were talking about before. Strange shield can block healing from things like Luna Snow. So great idea, not able to find value, but good thought process as they press again. It looks like Nemesis maybe taking this point right back.
Take it back. Strategist also now caught out on the backside, have to take a portal to their team. Nobody else really chasing, except it looks like the Captain America, as Kraz went down actually because he took that portal. So it was the portal of doom, the portal of demise for it looks like him. But Crimzo also gets traded, so both Captain Americas kind of struggling at the moment.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of value with Cap over these last few days. Seems like he is taking a place back in the front of the meta, at least with how the pros are playing him. But in these last few games, at least, it has looked a little more difficult to get value. But his job is just to distract. Up in the sky, we go again. Not able to find anything with a Madian there. Keeping the shots up on height. Here goes, what do you know? Techie tried to go up and frozen immediately there. Well done by Ricky.
Good freeze indeed. Here comes Mel on the backside as well. Into, oh my goodness, AMER going down in that Fate of the Worlds. Here comes Agamotto. Does connect on Nectar as well. So right now, Nemesis, they're putting themselves in a pretty big lead as Amazing's ultimate not going to connect onto anybody else. Right now, they're sent back to the spawn again. Team Nemesis played that phenomenally around Scatter with his Eye of Agamotto, and Dinks with the Cloak and Dagger Eternal Bond. So Sentinels trying to figure things out. They're over to the Cloak and Dagger himself as we take a look into the fireworks. July 4th coming up, Shun Shib. By the way, just want to point that out.
Yeah, that could have been a very different story if Techie got that ult off, right? So it goes to show you the small little things that you may not see in the stat lines. That freeze right there from Ricky completely could have changed that fight. Just that freeze alone onto Techie, who is now forced to switch heroes and lose a little bit of ultimate charge there. So a ton of value on stuff that won't be on the scoreboard, and that's why the scoreboard doesn't tell the story. Don't get lost in that. Amadian taking out Nectar here as Nemesis is now playing hyper aggro, and they want this to be a 1-1, pushing to 0.3 on domination. And Nemesis is really showing up with an ult advantage here on the side of Ricky.
And walking up, like you said, with that ult advantage, but we'll have to worry about Techie and Crimzo trying to block off those heals. Scatter as well, building up another Avagamoto. He's been big before. Sentinels don't have that to match.
Crimzo going directly onto that off angle to try to keep the team healthy. Tries to get Strange. Nice play as Korova cleans that up onto Scatter. Up in the sky we go again. Amadian trying to find value there with that Goddess of Death. Not able to get too much, and he gets picked off by Nectar. Nectar playing a very strong role now on Sentinels. Has been one of the newer additions to the starting roster. Is playing very strong here, but like we said, this is in the favor of Nemesis so far. Down one though. Now it's in the favor of Nemesis, who turned this around, the 5v6, and now are ahead. Ultimate out for Korova. Amazing and Nectar both holding on, but Nectar is down. Korova finds Pickett, and so does Amazing, even though down in numbers. Turning this back again, Sentinels. Will Nemesis, no, they use Mello. Gonna pop that ult, take out Techie. Scatter holding on as there's only one ult there.
Oh no! Sentinels didn't touch, no? Or was that... Yes, yeah. Oh my god, they didn't touch.
Yeah, and it happens at every level of play, as you saw. Honestly, on that first map there, they did have one holding the touch for them, and I was worried that it was going to happen there. Eyes off for a moment as I'm watching the plays, and it happens on map 2. So you got to have those comms. Everyone playing aggro, everyone wants to find more value, but the biggest value ever is getting that point, dropping off it, and losing that map.
Oh man, I mean, Ryan was trying to play back and forth, play for his own life, and you know that Dance of the Butterflies was massive as well, because I think it picked off, was it Crimzo? Techie was able to live, but he wanted to go peel for Rye, and then they just got a little bit distracted. So, you know, it looks like for Sentinels, they're still figuring something out. They still have that Star-Lord. It seems like Nectar is struggling to find his place in this map right now. I mean, on the Star-Lord specifically, I think that, like you said, he's able to find those eliminations, able to go with those blasters, but unfortunately for him, he's just not been able to kind of synergize with the team right now. We'll see what happens on this upcoming one. I mean, he was on the Ultron earlier and kind of was a very good peel artist for Team Sentinels. But right now, Nectar trying to go for these sort of combination dives with Crimzo on the Psylocke. Wasn't really working out. Now he's over to that Star-Lord. He does have ultimate ready to go.
Yeah, that Galactic Legend can be so valuable, especially with no strategist ultimates up. So here we go, trying to find some sort of that bubble. 55 HP per second, essentially a counter ult in itself. A nice find there as Amadian goes down, puts numbers up in their advantage early on, and that's what you need to do right now, Nectar. So good play, aggressive again, but what do you know? We're gonna stick inside that bubble and stay healthy. Scatter tries to find one. Amazing turns that right back, and Mello with a pick onto Nectar. Is just back and forth. These teams so strong.
Yeah, I mean, good pick off there from Mello, and I've been, like I've mentioned earlier, very impressed with this man in terms of his improvement, or their improvement right now for this team. Team Nemesis, Mello, and them need to kind of come back together around Kraz. Does have that freedom charge. Same thing with Crimzo on his side, so it's even across the board. Gonna have to worry about that Avagamoto, but it should keep everybody healthy in terms of having that freedom charge. So more than likely, Techie's gonna have to hold on to his ultimate mid-fight, whereas Scatter, I think, can go for it whenever he wants.
Cap can play so aggro and aggressive, and it's so fun to watch as you see him just trying to annoy the backline in the off angle. Spin again by Nectar, a combination that is very strong. That bubble with the spin helps get that Galactic Legend back really quickly. Have eyes on that in the future, but you can't right now because Nectar goes down. Amazing onto Scatter, though. Traded once more, 5v5. Amazing make that 2. Crimzo going to clean that up as Ricky goes down. Amazing trying to find another reset, not able to do so. Up in the sky goes the Goddess of Death. A ton of damage out, but right back into the crystals. Great placement there. Well done by the side of Sentinels as Aramori pops crystals and then copies up. Amazing finds Amadian, and they are holding on to this point.
Yeah, Portal now coming back in from Scatter, but down a lot of his team. Gonna have to play heavily around this Luna Snow on the backside of the point, but oh gee, one shot from Amazing, he's just gone. Goodbye, Kraz as well. And this is looking pretty much wraps for Nemesis. I mean, they don't have Portal, they won't have that for the retouch. They do have ultimates at the very least, and Sentinels, they're struggling keeping Nectar alive. I know that he's kind of meant as like a distraction whenever he kind of goes in, dashes around, forces focus away. A little bit of a peek, by the way, strategy on the left side. That's the big brain gameplay behind Sentinels. It's that little Groot boy. Now Nemesis now coming through. in the choke point, having ultimates ready to go. They do have strategist ults, at least. Sentinels have nothing. So if they mess this up, I mean, it might be pretty much over for Team Nemesis.
Yeah, I see Sentinels really on top right now in this map, no doubt about it. But like you said, ultimate advantage here. Big ults, by the way, and by this Galactic Legend should be matched here by the dance floor. It is. Amadian finds Crimson early, and that's huge for Team Nemesis. Ayavagamoto finds a few. Will they get more value? No one goes down. Scatter actually going to take out Kuroba, on that pick. Does start building up the E charge here. 84 does a lot of damage. Remember, recently in that patch, it has no damage fall off, so feel free to release it at any range to get max damage, and it especially pairs well with that ultimate where you can hit the soul and clean up. So great damage outsourced there, great work there, by Nemesis, who just ran them back. But once again, Sentinels now have ult advantage and are at 99%.
Yep, trading 1 for 2 was Team Sentinels out there, and they can delay for a while for more ultimates through Dinks, through Kraz as well. And same thing for Sentinels, right? They have Aramori, they have Kurova, so they're going to hope to find some eliminations with the Amazing and his ultimate. Kraken Impact could go big because you can get eliminations even through Shredder's ultimates with it.
Queues for days. Now let's see who falls. Ricky taking out Amazing early is a massive start here for Nemesis, up in numbers, but here comes the ultimates matched right back. Eternal Bond on both sides. Will the dunk, good placement. As Techie from downtown goes. Dinks, Amadian falls, Ricky falls, Crimzo, Aramori on the scatter, and everybody on the side of Sentinels is finding one, and that may be enough unless they can really dance here. No, they cannot, and that should be it unless this portal comes through, which I don't think will happen. Just going to be a staggered touch, and they're gonna need a miracle here, but I believe it's over as Sentinels take game 1.
Yeah, what a map. And I imagine stats wise Nectar didn't have the best game, but like I feel like performance wise he was excellent, right? In this game in Marvel Rivals, it feels like you have like a duelist who sort of does the carrying. Like that's the entire role of like the Bucky in this case, is to make sure Rye has enough space, and really that's all Nectar trying to do is annoy, harass, make sure eyes are off of Rye, and gives him that MVP. So right now Nectar kind of played his role perfectly, and that's kind of how the game is. You need a setup guy, right? Not everybody can be that striker in soccer. Some people need to be the setup guy, and for Nectar, he was that character or that player and that team player for the side of Sentinels. And they played it so well versus Team Nemesis, when the only downside, I think both teams are looking vulnerable to a certain degree, right? For Sentinels, they'll get picked off randomly, like we'll see Amazing get clapped by Ricky, but it's traded back immediately by Sentinels. That's the only weakness I can tell for Team Sentinels right now, is that in some of these fights it feels like they're going down, they're getting casualties when they really shouldn't. But for Nemesis, they just constantly handle that pressure. Ultimate advantage for Sentinels, and overall just really good fundamentals through that team currently. And Team Nemesis have to regroup for this next map, but I think we're in for a good one for sure, Ship.
Yeah, the fights were so back and forth, just heading to 99 on every map. I mean, yeah, you got to show love to Amazing. Obviously, 18 finals, a little inflated there because that ultimate does give the finals as they reach that threshold. But outside of that, I mean, like you mentioned initially, stats don't tell the whole story. I think Nectar with that dance, Techie bubbling Nectar so he can spin to win over the top of the enemy, get that ult back quickly, and force out just a ton of cooldowns and focus allows these picks to come through. We saw picks even from the backline, Kuroba and Aramori. Amazing obviously popping. We had Techie with 10 final hits, obviously a very strong Vanguard, and Crimzo just distracting for days with 8 finals. So Sentinels played really well as a unit, but similar stat lines on Nemesis. So I think this really is going to be a good series, especially after that 2-1 domination W.
Oh yeah, I mean this is going to be a banger for sure. We'll see how the bans adjust as well. Usually in close series like this, I think the ban phase is very interesting because teams, especially a team such as Nemesis, I know they have good coaches, like to go through, like to come back and specifically target ban. We did mention though that we talk about Hell's Heaven not being a great map for the side of Nemesis. It seems like Krakoa is also in that boat. I just feel like domination wise, this team, not necessarily needs some work, but it just feels like there's something off with this team on that map. They looked good though. I think at points they took advantage of Sentinels, played around that Hella composition. It might just be like the compositional thing, right? We talk about how I think Hella's a lot better on maps like Convoy, on a map like Convergence. So they probably will go to another map such as Symbiotic Surface. But I mean, last time Sentinels won on that map in that game before, and you said it's a rematch, Shib.
Yeah, and we look over at Mello. You mentioned maybe domination isn't their thing as a team, but Mello, 14 finals, finding those off angles, it's going to be, all those finals get more value on things like convergence and convoy, because those single lane map push points, when that single number gets picked, you maybe don't commit the ultimates nearly as much as you would on Dom just to hold the point. So they find more value there. So we could see the change up there. I think Mello absolutely popped off. Amadian was 6 as well, just a little more than Nectar at 5. So the duelist line looked really good. I think Scatter looked great. The SVP there with 9 on Strange, big ultimate plays. Although there was a lot of shutdowns. So we got the back and forth from the strategists with those shutdowns were insane. And I'm sure we're going to see a ton more valuable plays right after this break. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, and we had a series on our hand, back and forth there on domination. Maybe, you know, Nemesis is not strong point, right? Maybe not a weak point, but don't have as much success there. So this is definitely going to be a series. What are your thoughts on game one?
Yeah, game one, Sentinels kind of dominated in that third round, but map number 1 and 2, I think it was close for Nemesis, and you know, we saw that potential off the objective touch by Sentinels. I just want to see what the ban and protect phase looks like as we move into convergence or convoy.
Yeah, I think we're going to see something different, right? I'm not sure exactly what the play is yet in terms of who needs to be taken out, but I know we'll see a change as Sentinels have a lot in their bag in terms of composition that they can run, and Nemesis also has a lot in their bag in terms of composition they can run. So I'm sure there's going to be, you know, the coaches are going to have to get involved here and figure out what they can do to get the W and progress forward as the top seed. But we have to dive in real quick to some of my favorite skins that have been dropped in the game, showing it right now. This Iron Fist lockdown with the Ultron virus. This binary fist skin is so cool. I've been seeing it a ton in QP and in ladder. And this Moon Knight skin with Phoenix Knight, me personally looking forward to potentially seeing Phoenix come into this game at some point. So that kind of hint showing that the lore is there. It's exciting for me. What do you think about these skins?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I like the intro as well. I don't know if we have the B-roll to show it, but that walk up with Moon Knight and Phoenix Knight looking just like walking up with the cape behind him, super dope. I know that people are also talking about how, you know, maybe that's a little bit of a hint as the next hero coming. We don't know. I mean, you don't want to say anything. We don't know anything. Shit, we're just casters, right? So, but I mean, I'm so pumped. I mean, just for the skin, and then also, like you said, just the future of this game.
Yeah, the Blade fanboys and girls and other are going to hunt us down for even suggesting something else, but I look forward definitely to seeing Phoenix come into this game for sure. As we move forward to map 2, Sentinels up 1. Remember, best of 5, not best of 3 like has been previously shown. And just a recap here, Sentinels took this match 2-0 last time these two teams met, and we're diving into bans.
Ban phase, Emma on both sides, and it's interesting how I think the difference compared to other regions. I think that North America keeps doing this Emma ban first. I think at least other regions tend to, you know, change, you know, based on what they played against and stuff in the first ban pick. So it kind of creates this weird meta among metas where, you know, the Emma ban or the mag bans come later as well, because you kind of know they're going to protect the mag here, and Emma is very good. So I mean, it does make sense, especially if we look at, I imagine, win rates for Emma at Frost as well. Seems like she just wins a lot of games in the Ignite series, so it's tough to argue about how good the hero is. But as we pass through the first phase of the bans, now we head into that double ban. Looking pretty normal so far, right, Chib?
Yeah, almost identical, as both teams elected to have virtually the same thing across the board last time, the slight change. But yeah, I agree. The Emma ban is almost a necessity because Psylocke just gets unlocked as well. It's just loose to just be a demon with that clone. So you almost have to like take out 2 for 1 if you don't get rid of Emma. So there is going to be the lock-in by Cloak. Nemesis has been loving that Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, that Cloak and Dagger definitely been a staple for them, and it's interesting that, you know, Luna Snow hasn't been touched so far, considering you know, what Sentinels were doing with that. And same thing with Nemesis. So both teams liking that Luna Snow and not really committing any bans towards it. Meanwhile, Sentinels getting rid of Wolverine as we head to Araco instead of Clintar, which Nemesis previously chose. Now we're going to Araco for them. Groot protect as well for Sentinels, and we've seen how good Groot can be on this map through teams like FlyQuest. No Mantis ban this time that Sentinels have picked for Team Nemesis. On the opposite side, it's Sentinels dealing with a Mantis ban this map.
Although Sentinels are attacking, it looks like they want to play that Groot. We saw the Groot on defense essentially hold teams into the spawn door until the very last second. So very defensible point, at least on point 1, and then it starts going more towards the offense until point 3. But this map, I love to see it. Teams are clearly loving it as it's been selected a ton here in this tournament. But you look over and you're seeing some unique picks. I'm sure that might change up, but Groot looks like he will be shown on both sides.
Yeah, and interesting that no Ultron bans come through. I mean, we saw that he was in little specific moments versus dive on Ultron, but then once the dive sort of swapped off, once we got through onto different sort of compositions, and maybe Nectar as well wanting to swap to different things, they kind of opted away from that hero. So we'll see if it comes back. Last series, 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest, they banned out Ultron, I believe, once towards the very end. Didn't really matter because FlyQuest just kind of won. Now today, different series, different teams for Team Nemesis and Sentinels. They sort of make very similar bans. I feel like the prioritization is kind of in a similar vein. Mantis not touched this time. A lot of people wondering why Mantis is even banned in the first place. It's for this. Team Nemesis running that triple strategist composition. Mantis, Adam Warlock.
Yeah, I mean,
dagger and the sword.
Right out of Sentinel's book, right? I mean, good, strong defense here, holding on tight. This is definitely a very defensible position, as we mentioned, trying to keep him in the door. A lot of the time, we'll see triple Vanguard off the rip here, holding him at the door, but deciding to hold back a little farther. So definitely a different strategy than we've seen in the past here. Amazing. Back on that Bucky. Good pull. As down goes a Median and Craze as Nectar finds one. And oh, the combination of Wolverine into Groot is a terrifying thing if you don't make that switch to Invis. So Nectar, a very strong wolf, something we haven't seen yet in this series. Good tackle out of the sky onto Scatter. Like clay shooting. Bang, down goes Scatter, and followed up by Amazing.
Yeah, excellent decision making by Nectar, positioning as well. Team Nemesis have to react to it with the thing. So they're just going to kind of run towards Sentinels. As long as Sentinels can sort of live whenever that soul bond is committed, whenever, you know, shots come through from a fantastic shot as Mellow on Adam Warlock, that's always going to be something to look for. But oh no, he does it again.
Wow, and this is insane. These Wolverine plays are disgusting. Nectar finds Mellow, but now we get that res. Amadian comes back. Amazing, taking out Ricky. Will Ricky res up? It's the whole point here of this Guardians comp. There is that res. Numbers haven't changed yet. Amazing in the sky with the dunk. Does not land on very many. Good teleport out. Great escape there, and that's where the advantage of these teleports come into play. Your knowledge of where they go. Nectar onto Ricky, though, again with a pick, but the passives pop. Immediately gets followed up on. Tackles right back into the heel. Great tackle again to fly back into the dance floor. Down goes Craze as Crimzo finds one. Mellow onto Amazing. Numbers still in Sentinel's favor, I believe, as the reses are all popped. And Korova finishes up on Madian. Techie onto Mellow, and that's point 1.
Point 1 pretty quick by Team Sentinels, and I think for Team Nemesis, we see teams play Human Torch alongside this instead of the Star-Lord, even though you don't have that res anymore. Human Torch banned in this matchup, so we'll see what he changes to something else. They actually just full swap, go over to the Storm, even give up Soul Resurgence. They just gave up ultimates in terms of Ricky giving up the Mantis ult to swap over to that Luna Snow, so they just give up on that composition, triple res comp. Instead of playing some sort of Mantis, you know, full dive composition, they just opt out of it. Sentinels fine with that, I imagine.
Yeah, I think the goal here is to try to put some damage into those Groot walls and find a way around this. I mean, we talk about their versatility, able to play a ton here, and I think it's better to do that switch early. Crimzo with the Strangling Prison, countered right back by Amazing, says not in my house, turns that on to Scatter, but Mellow finds Korova in the back line too. Mellow, a huge ultimate here. Down goes Aramori, Nectar, and Techie, and Crimzo is a 5-piece. Mellow, built different, tries to clean up and get 6.
Yeah, and also got tracked down too by Mating coming back. I mean, what a play by Mello with that ultimate and then with the follow-up. This guy, an absolute star player for Team Nemesis, came through in the clutch when Rye was KOing his entire backline. It was really tough for Team Nemesis to kind of deal with Rye, but not when you have Mello kind of popping off with that Storm ultimate, then the follow-through afterwards. Amazing work from the Storm player on Team Nemesis. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, Ricky holding on to alt here. We do have Aramori with the copy, so should see the dance floor likely on both sides. And Techie going to hold on to that Meteor M. Could help cancel some of that out. I think it was a good switch here by Team Nemesis, really shifting up the comp. We talked about it being a difficult thing to see, but it's clearly working, at least so far. Tackle back in. Techie on to Mello. Last stand, not able to get too much as the dance floor does get popped. And Amadian using that last stand. Crazeman finding Nectar, turning this back, trying to shut down the Wolverine by playing some counters with the Thing and that bubble by Magneto. Good damage out, alts pop, but now advantage goes to the side of Sentinels, who have 2 ready, almost 3 with Rye Amazing.
Yeah, right now, Sentinels trying to maintain the momentum that they had earlier, get it back rather, and now here comes the Meteor M. Slam dunk onto the back line. Pulse strategist removed from the side of Team Nemesis. They have to regroup, and you know, right now, the believers in the chat room definitely seeing their team kind of pop off. 76% of people in the chat voted for Sentinels with their channel points to win the series, to win this next map rather. Nemesis only having 24%, so large discrepancy in terms of fan favor for Sentinels right now.
Yeah, you got Techie just raining down. You saw the patience there with those left click. When you're playing Magneto, don't hold down the trigger. It's very difficult to force hits when you're not being patient. Be very patient with that left click. You saw a 3-piece there just due to raw understanding and patience. That left click it can do a ton of damage, especially if followed up by a right. So you got to be calm, cool, and collected. Do not hold that trigger down. Right, Amazing holding on to this Kraken impact could have a ton of value, but ultimate advantage onside Nemesis. Out goes this Hurricane, which will pull out a ton, and Rye Amazing goes down quickly. Well done by Ricky to follow up there, as Rye Amazing not able to get anything or reset once with the Kraken impact. Here goes the cloak. Mello onto Kurova. Strong play by Nemesis now, showcasing that Storm is still very much in conversation for a top duelist. Amadian onto Crimzo. Scatter onto Aramori, and that's going to be a reset for Sentinels, who now are still down in alt advantage on point 3.
Yeah, spawns are right here, so Mello is just sitting trying to get out that damage. I imagine Ryan wants that play back. Went a little bit too far forward, could have been saved by Kurova. Meanwhile, Nectar with a huge pickoff and just gets traded on the backside, so Mello down, Amadian able to find him.
Yeah, here comes the next fight. Like I said, ult advantage on the side of Nemesis, just slightly. Clobbering timeout. Does it clobber, though? Not much. Amadian just raining, forcing forward. Bubble goes out a little early, but they are playing great around that positioning, playing around that natural cover. You'll see that at this level of play a ton. They do not overextend and find themselves out in the open. They're always playing around walls. And there goes the Meteor M slightly after. Almost more value as all the cooldowns are used. Right, Amazing. Crimzo, Techie sweeping everyone as the Sentinels clean up Mello to finish off the team. And there goes Mello. Wow, Sentinels playing patiently and turning that right back at Team Nemesis.
Yep, holding this angle as well, just hiding around the corner. Third person peeking, you know, that's kind of what you want to do. That's the big skill in this game, is being able to go back and forth between cover whenever you have right side peeks and constantly just abuse the third person camera that Marvel Rivals presents you with. Now that dive comes in, Crimzo on the Thing, like you mentioned, pulls in that Punisher. That's annoying to deal with. Nemesis are reacting, however.
Yeah, and now Nemesis holding on to the Meteor M here. Do have that Eternal Bond and the Hurricane. This Hurricane always should be used almost off cooldown. It forces out everything. As you see, crystals go out, dance floor goes out. Everybody just trying to battle back, and Scatter plays off that. Now that the cooldowns are down, Scatter finds one of Kurova, and then they all start falling. The Jenga pieces. Scatter gets another Amadian onto Aramori, and the whole team is swept here. But now Sentinels are going to have that last stand and the Aramori copy for this next fight. But does it battle back between the Thing's clobbering time and the Eternal Bond? Which gets more value? 1 minute on the clock.
We'll have to see. Here comes the throw again. I feel like Sentinels aren't reacting very well to the Storm ultimate, but you know who's not reacting well to the Wolverine? Actually, never mind. They are reacting well to the Wolverine. On the backside, they're able to go with the clobbering time, also commit Amadian with that final judgment, get the eliminations. But I feel like for the side of Sentinels, they're not really doing a great job dealing with the Storm, right? Dealing with the Punisher. We see a lot of teams kind of adapt and change, but it seems like even with their dance floor, even with the Fate of the Worlds, they tend to fall to Team Nemesis, whereas on the other side of the bracket, I think FlyQuest was reacting well to comps like this.
Yeah, I think Sentinels did a good job, at least with patience there. I'm with you that that was a difficult watch, but Sentinels, what they're doing here now is they're committing everything into this final fight. Out goes clobbering time by the side of Crimzo. Do they follow up? They walk back together. Dance floor is popped here by Ricky. Team's keeping the pressure on. The haymakers for days. Down goes Scatter. Nice work here by Crimzo on the Thing. Making that switch over to the Thing has been valuable, and here comes the Hurricane. Will it find a pick? It does. At least it burns the passive of Wolverine. The team's forced to reset. Mello gonna drop back with the team, and it is a very tough fight. Odds are on the side of Sentinels for this fight so far. Ricky trying to build up his claws at 100% now, dealing a ton of HP with that overall HP takedown. Down goes another, the Hurricane again. Amazing this time coming in and sweeping. Down goes two. Amazing, is that enough? Techie throws out the Meteor Ram. It lands, but it doesn't finish up Ricky, and they are very close to ending this. They do. Sentinels with all 3 points.
That is so impressive, Shib. We cannot understate. I don't think we've seen have we seen this whole tournament anybody cap out all of Araco? I think we probably have, but it feels so hard.
Yeah, it's been very difficult. A lot of teams being held on point 3 right there under that bridge. I think what was really strong there by Sentinels, something we briefly touched on, is Sentinels lost that fight right prior to the final fight where they had 15 seconds on the retake. All they had to do was touch, and then they committed everything. They lost early. The side of Nemesis used some ults, got a pick on that second to last fight. The team reset and didn't commit, which was really smart and really patient. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, you're right. I think Sentinels played that very well. And now going over to the defense, you know who we talk about as the best Storm players right now, Shib, is team Speedily on Team Envy, and it looks like Mello on Storm. But Amazing, one of the OGs on this hero, definitely played it back in the day when Storm was even stronger than she is now. She's more of that supportive style, giving your team that damage boost, sort of playing slow. Then you ultimate, and usually your ult forces out other strategist ults and stuff. But Rye, one of the OGs on Storm for sure, going to play something very similar. They've given up entirely on that Punisher, it seems like, alongside it, just maybe focusing more on that Wolverine.
Yeah, I'm with you that this is now going to be a Hurricane fest. We're going to see that on both sides. It does pull out a lot of cooldowns like we talked about. It does also, it puts a lot of pressure, and it's terrifying as you see final hits on both sides. But now, this is where I was thinking I'd see it. The Sentinels are playing very aggressive on the hold, up very tight. Nectar trying to get a tackle early. They do, as Nectar finds Scatter, brings it right towards the back line. Will they find value on the pick? Out goes Bubble. Scatter, great positioning. Not able to even break Bubble there, but good idea by Nectar on the tackle. They are forced to retreat here, not able to hold that front spot for long as they aren't running that group.
Yeah, this is what we would have wanted to see out of 100 Thieves if you were a fan of them, right? Able to live these pulls that come through from Nectar. Now you could call that on Sentinels, which, by the way, they just walk in and everybody falls over on Team Sentinels. Yet again, man, these teams feel so brawly, Shiv, compared to the matchups we saw in FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves.
Yeah, Storm may be considered more of a poke hero, but you're right. When it comes to these brawl comps playing as a unit and walking in together, Storm with that damage and speed boost, and also just the natural AoE damage from that damage boost form, which is constantly zapping everyone in that circle around her. So you have to play close, you have to play aggressive and play natural cover while being almost on top of the enemy team. So yeah, more of a brawly hero secretly, although the kit may lend itself to look more poke. And here comes Hurricanes very soon. Out goes the dance floor. Aramori copies up. Sentinels kind of on their heels right now as Team Nemesis is up in ultimates.
Yeah, copy came through like you mentioned. Now here's Kurova sitting on the back, trying not to go down to the Meteor M. Oh, nice evasion of it, but they have to make it back to the objective to heal themselves. Oh, the portal to dodge the Meteor M. Are you kidding me? From the side of Mello.
That was genius. Play right on the portal. Use it as an iframe. Gorgeous play again. Mello now coming in with the Hurricane. Scatter finds Nectar early. This is going to go back towards Nemesis for this fight. Ults out. Amadian takes out Crimzo. Crazebang onto Techie, and that should be enough as they take point 1.
Excellent phase from Team Nemesis to close out there. The portal from Mello. Unfortunately, Meteor M not going to connect from Techie. And right now, Sentinels are on the back foot, right? They were not able to deal with Amadian with that final judgment with the follow-up from the Hurricane. And right now, Team Nemesis, they're pushing forward. I really wonder what it is that results in so many of these players getting picked somewhat early, positioning, whatever it may be. It's happening again. Like, I don't know. It feels weird that these players are just going down before the fight even starts, similar to what we saw 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest. I feel like that never happened.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's difficult to comprehend why it's happening, but it has been relatively consistent. A lot of these fights were due to a Wolverine tackle initially, but now we're seeing it just from raw damage at range. With the Punisher, with Storm's damage boost, it could be something along the lines of teams aren't expecting that damage boost. Nectar finding 3 there with a mean last stand as the team sweeps virtually everyone. Down goes all 6. And Sentinels with a huge ultimate there from Nectar, who plays one of the strongest Wolverines. Wolverine, get him out of here in the ban phase if he's against me. I'm terrified of this character.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how gross Wolverine is. We talked Energy mentioned in the interview how disgusting Wolverine can be no matter where you are, especially on a map like this where you have so many angles to kind of come from. Team Nemesis now have to walk up, utilizing some Storm speed to kind of get back as a unit. I mean, they've been able to find picks before on Amazing. We'll see if they can do it again. I mean, Turret to build up ult charge as well, but Nectar, oh my god, gets pushed off. Nice job from Kraz to keep his team alive.
Yeah, that was a great Yancey streak to knock the tackle away. Here comes the double Hurricane. Which one is more valuable, as everyone is just in the midst of a storm? Who wins? Bubble out. Great play. Dinks, incredible ulti there to play it on the ground as he uses that bond, kind of hidden. Amazing still finds Mellow, though, as the numbers are now up for Sentinels. Out goes Scatter, not able to find anything with that Meteor Ram. Scatter now finds Techie, though. Amazing. We're already at 40%. Storm, one of the Storm's strongest attributes is the fact that Storm can get that ult back with piercing attacks. Those attacks pierce, so in those hallway fights, those Hurricanes come back really quick. Nectar with another mean last stand onto Ricky, though, and that is going to put Sentinels again up as Nectar finds another Mellow onto Amazing to make that less of an advantage. Now, only up 1 for the side of Sentinels. Dinks now on Nectar, and now it's evened out as we get into another fight.
I mean, a little brawly for sure. I mean, that fight at the very beginning looked like a Trader Joe's fruit leather fight room. It just seemed like, you know, so many colors, so many Hurricanes kind of flying out. And right now, I mean, Sentinels fortunately losing Nectar. No, Techie again finds Mellow. Where's the healing? It just feels like you mentioned, Shiv, the damage output is so much with the Storm. It's unexpected for these pros right now.
Yeah, they're just not used to it, right? That damage boost with these very pokey abilities from these heroes is finding much more value, and that's where Storm, although kind of taking a backseat in this tournament, is still incredibly strong. And Madian tries to find some damage over the last stand, not able to. Techie turns it around on Ricky, though, as they walk back. Crimzo onto Dinks, Corova, and Nectar. 2 more as they just keep sweeping these teams in these fights, and we got a minute 40 left.
A minute 40 left, and you know, like you mentioned, Nemesis, I mean, they did so good first point, right? It was a excellent, you know, kind of push quick on that first objective compared to how we've seen it in the past, and now they've been slowed down to a hold. This has been about a 3-minute hold for Sentinels, who right now on the defense with this Wolverine is taking full advantage of Team Nemesis, and they're not really reacting that well. They don't have a Wolverine themselves. They have to play like a Punisher, maybe even something along the lines of Bucky could be the answer, but right now Nemesis, they have to find a pick.
We're seeing a Hurricane every fight here. Amazing, forcing out a ton of cooldowns. Korova gonna use that bond. Crimzo ready with the he's gonna use clobbering time at the very end of this fight, likely, unless Nemesis sweeps all of them. And again, another team swipe as everyone goes down. Mellow trying to clean this up here as down goes Nectar, and they do get point 2. What a fight again, but this is where that first point, that advantage on time, 5 minutes coming into point 2, works out for them incredibly well, as you see Krakoa here taking point 2.
Yeah, Dinks has been hitting some huge Terror Capes. That's what's giving them the eliminations, I feel like, with that vulnerability, with the change we talked about. Dinks is able to hit that so consistently because he pretty much plays so much Cloak and Dagger even before the character was considered viable. Right now, Sentinels on the last phase of the map. You know, they have to hold, but they chewed so much time off the clock, at least in the street space.
Yeah, it's a great point. Bringing that up, the damage boost, not only from Storm, but also, oh my goodness, Crimzo and Nectar down go 4, make that 5 as Scatter falls. And yeah, Sentinels, they took that last one personally, but now alt advantage on the side of Nemesis. But yeah, I did, just to return to that point, I do agree that damage boost, not only from Storm, but also from Cloak, is so threatening, and that's why these picks are happening for sure.
100%. Yeah, that can change the game, considering, you know, not a lot of Luna on the side of Sentinels, rather. So for the side of Sentinels, pick off immediately, potentially going to come through with the pulls again. For Sentinels, they've been able to win multiple fights in a row. Last stand comes through again.
Good ult there to counter from Ricky to shut that down, but that was mean, as out goes the clobbering time, and not going to get too much value here. A lot of the time you want to count to 12 when you see that dance floor start, and right at the near end at 11, you launch the clobbering so that everybody is vulnerable while they stacked on that ultimate. But good attempt there, not able to find any value, although these pros can still, you know, get picks through that ultimate just with raw focus and ladder. It's not a bad idea to count out some of these strategist ultimates so you know when to engage. Now Nemesis up ult again just by 1. excuse me, evened out here as Amazing ready with a Hurricane. Here comes the last stand. Will it find a pick? It does. Down goes Nectar early, and that's massive. As Techie goes down too. Nemesis needs to keep this going.
Chip, this might be like a map practice thing too, because there's that portal on the left side they could have taken, but they went on the left side, sort of the longer angle, and they couldn't disengage. They wanted to, but obviously they didn't play the best on that point of the map. But you know, from Sentinels and how they played so far, it feels like for every 3 fights they win, they lose 1. We'll see if they can win this one.
Yeah, and then you're right about that. It is map knowledge, and this was chosen here by Nemesis. Amazing with 3, and the Hurricane is detrimental. 12 seconds on, finding 3 is a huge start here as Nemesis has one ult advantage, but will they be able to hold on for 6 seconds? They got a touch here at the end to keep this going, but this may be the end here for Nemesis on map 2. Great clobbering time. Scatter finds 3. Grazemang onto Amazing, and they do come back. Wow, the Vanguards popping off and holding on.
What a play, man. Kraz and Scatter. They're also on triple Vanguard now alongside the Storm. That might be the play. Here comes Sentinels out of the spawn. No portal block to come through. Nectar in the sky trying to find one. Building last stand. Super close to it. Korova also does have Cloak and Dagger all ready to go.
And here comes Mello with the Hurricane. And this could be massive if they find one. But no! Techie gets the pick through it. Nectar tries to clean up another. Down goes Dinks. And that could be the W. Nemesis using everything now. Committing fully. Amazing onto Amadian. Numbers heavily on the side of Sentinels. There goes Grazemang from Nectar. And another ultimate for Amazing to sweep the rest. And that should be enough as Sentinels take map 2.
Excellent map from both sides, but Sentinels still come out on top. And, you know, we talk about how strong heroes are at the last phase, especially in overtime. I think Wolverine is by far the strongest at stalling that objective, at getting damage down range as well with the passive, alongside just how much damage Wolverine does. I mean, this is the highest damage dealing character in the game in close range when he's fully charged up, fully raged up. And, you know, what a map that was. And Sentinels are now up 2 on Nemesis, put themselves on map point. And right now, Shiv, if they close out versus Nemesis, I think, you know, we have on both sides in Group A and Group B 2 teams that look absolutely disgusting in these grand finals, and they're going to be, you know, in their correct seeding for the playoffs if Sentinels were to win on the next map. But Nemesis, they're going to have to kind of go back to the drawing boards, figure something out, and maybe get rid of Wolverine first, because like you said, Shiv, that was so hard to deal with.
Yeah, a lot of teams not using that invis. It's very difficult to handle Wolverine without it. I mean, you saw the switch up there on the Vanguard line, and I've got to show love to that Vanguard line holding it down there at the final point, almost turning that around, which could have been a wild retake. Honestly, was really impressed there. But scattering Grazemang, I believe it was like a 2v5, and they still found 3 or something along those lines. So well played, but it wasn't enough. You see there Mello with 17 finals. You saw this ultimate here on the screen at this exact moment, sweeping, but Amazing in Nectar 17-16, and then you go to Techie, who is dominant over here on this Magneto with 19 final hits and 32k damage. So patient with that left click, and it just really paid off for him.
Hey, that's why there's a team that's a fan of him, you know? That's why there's a whole team called Techie XD, right? So, fair play. I mean, he is Timothy John James. Okay, I'll stop using that one. He is really good, though, basically. That's the point that I'm trying to make. I mean, he can kind of carry games, like you said, on the Magneto. Both can as well. We saw picks from Scatter as well with the Storm. I think that's an under-talked about part for sure, Shiv. I mean, sure, you could probably talk about it with the Storm. How does it feel, having a Storm alongside that Magneto? I mean, it makes her lethality skyrocket, right?
Absolutely. It's similar to when you're using that Punisher ult. If you get that pocket and you're able to dive in, also with a Loki, a good Loki on the back line too, throwing out crystals under your feet, giving you that extra time on Storm where the team thinks they may find the pick. If the team is really focused on the Storm in that moment and there's something to extend that timer, that raw damage of that Hurricane is enough to overwhelm them and retake that point and just get all those picks. So well done across the board again. Korova on the back line with that Cloak and Dagger, a ton of value with those Eternal Bonds, which seem to be happening nearly every fight. Can get that all back so quickly with that bubble.
Man, it's such a shame as well. I feel like the storylines are not clashing, but it's so fun that on the other side of the bracket you do have, if Sentinels were to win, unfortunately Techie XD's on the other opposite side, right? They have to go against the Group B champions, which are FlyQuest, and then if the side of Sentinels were to win, they would go against Ego Death, who obviously we want to see against FlyQuest. So kind of sad that we don't get to see those play out. But if Sentinels were to win, right, we can still see Nemesis sort of come back and claw their way back in the series, and then it might spice things up, I think, when the playoffs come around the line.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. You know, it could have been a crazy storyline to see Techie versus Techie. You know what I mean? That would have been pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sentinels looking lights out right now. Nemesis really showed up there. They tried to match composition at one point, just slight differences with that Wolverine pick. Wolverine getting a ton of value in all of these games. Another one of those heroes alongside Torch that I just don't want to see against me, but it's difficult to take out both, right? What's your flavor? Which one would you rather drop initially? And we're seeing teams elect to get rid of, you know, Torch, which has a ton to his kit. You talk about the best heroes in the game are the heroes that do something better than the rest. And Torch is one of those heroes that, you know, doesn't necessarily always struggle into hit scan, which is typically Flyer's issue, because he has that escape. He does have that ability to move consistently. So just really well played. And we're going to see more incredible plays right after this break. Welcome back, everyone, as we head into the next game of Sentinels over here versus Nemesis. Sentinels looking really good and only need one more to take this home and be the top seed of B side of the bracket.
Yep, Sentinels 2-0, back to form, you know, back to the OG Sentinels that was, you know, Team Nightmare, and then on to Team Sentinels that was really dominant for such a long time. Sentinels were that team alongside 100 Thieves, who now lost their series, so they'll have to meet them on the same side of the bracket, which is going to be fun, potentially earlier on, if Sentinels were to win, right? Nemesis still has a chance here, and speaking of Sentinels and how they played, we saw, and you could talk about this guy, I'm sure you have a lot to say about him, Shib, is Techie, right? For Team Sentinels, he was popping off, like you said, had 17 final hits, and as a team, you know, play around him so well.
Yeah, 19, I guess, final hits here for Techie, looking insane. 42 KOs, only fallen 9 times, 32k damage on Magneto. I mean, a lot of value out of those Meteor M's, but outside of that, just the patience on the left click. You saw a ton of follow-up, just always finishing up the KOs. That is important. Damage means nothing to me if you don't clean up those KOs, because at the end of the day, just raw damage, it just feeds the strategist line. You've got to be patient. You got to be understanding that you want targeted damage and you want KOs, because to me, damage doesn't mean a thing if you don't have any of those final hits.
I like how you brought that up, Shib. I like how you brought up the damaging strategist damaging and not finally you know, eliminating people, is because, you know, like you said, you build up those strategist ultimates if you just take damage, or if you send damage to the other team and they just heal it up, right? So that is something that pro teams do. We've heard it at least in comms. You know, sometimes they'll play for strategist ultimate build up, so they'll send their vanguards in, allow chip damage to come through, and you don't really see that, I think, until you reach the highest level. Even in ranked at one above all, a lot of people, you know, don't really care. They just kind of, you know, pump up the damage stats. They're not playing for the team, and it's because, you know, in cases like this where if you're just dealing a lot of damage, you just build up those strategist ultimates. So, you know, these teams play very well around those compositions, around that sort of idea, and, you know, you really only go in when you know you can win a fight instead of just doing damage for nothing.
Yeah, beautiful call. We saw across the board there on either team, you see a ton of final hits from virtually everyone, obviously, besides the strategist, but that is important. That goes to show how strong these two teams are against each other. There was upwards of the teens on both sides, almost with all 4, or at least almost nearing 10. So well done by both teams on the focus there. Very strong ultimates, obviously, and the damage boost pumping into that Hurricane. I'm wondering if we'll see maybe Storm locked out. Odds are probably not, but we see that Torch Protect here for Nemesis, changing it up, and Sentinels are going to match that as well.
Yeah, that's a good variation, I think, or variation for Team Nemesis. You know, that the fact that they've adapted, maybe they want the Torch, you know, also counter Torch comes through from Sentinel's side, banning out the Captain America. Nemesis, you know, they might get that Magneto banned against them, but I think that at least this is a step in the right direction for them. You know, we've seen this in the MEA, trying to force towards a different composition. We'll see what Sentinels opt to do. I mean, they obviously have to think about it.
Yeah, the ban of Cap here, I think it's just to try to reduce that dive composition they ran last time here on Symbiotic, which was with a Panther. So I'm curious if Panther will come out, and if they go with a different dive frontline, maybe something like Venom. I'm curious to see the shakeup here and what they change. Kind of lock in that Magneto. Crazy to see Magneto available this deep into the banning phase. Obviously a very strong Vanguard right now, and Sentinels, when you have something like Techie on Magneto, is, you know, crazy. So good lock there by them, and we'll see what the final ban is here for Nemesis.
It's funny. This is like it's like an intense game of tic-tac-toe, right? Where, you know, at the end we might potentially see Mag still available, right? Like you said, for Team Nemesis, if they want to take it, but they go for the Ultron ban and then Ultron Protect.
Yeah, Ultron is super strong with flyers, especially with Human Torch. So I am surprised to see that because it is. Yeah, we could. It could be, yeah, for another damage boost. Absolutely. See a Mantis Man and then helps a little bit with the sustained healing in the fly. But when you have that Ultron up there dancing with Human Torch, it is a threat beyond all threats. So that is going to be a tough thing to handle here.
And they go for the mag ban on the opposite side. I want to see, you know, what the full composition looks like, but at least some variation for the side of Nemesis, as you know, Sentinels, they're totally happy getting rid of Team Nemesis, Emma Frost, and also Captain America alongside Magneto. So Vanguard prioritization for them. Meanwhile, for Sentinels, they cannot play that Ultron, in which that they took advantage of in the first map, and also the Wolverine. So they've been targeted a little bit. We'll see if it works out on Symbiotic Surface, in which, you know, this is what we talk about, Shiv, that the change up in terms of the ban phase, the change up in terms of getting rid of heroes that are being a problem to you specifically, is the way to go. It feels like, you know, you might know the meta, you might know what's good, but you kind of know what the other team has in store, right? Their best compositions are still, you know, maybe those ones that you ban out. So you kind of, you know, have to target ban, and Sentinels definitely being focused on Clintar.
Yeah, we've seen a ton of different bans, so it goes to show you how strong the meta is. This rock, paper, scissors format of this game and all hero shooters in general, but now you add in this targeted banning phase that is not universal. It adds so much more to it. We talk about it getting coaches much more involved. We've had conversations with coaches a ton throughout this tournament, but it is just so much more. As you look up in the sky there, really cool with the Celestial up there. So we are going to hold tight here. Sentinel setting up with Nectar up here with the Punisher off the rip, using that damage reduction from Crimzo to hopefully hold on, as the whole team on Nemesis is electing to push right side heavy and go with a little more of an aggressive divey style composition with Hulk and Torch.
I mean, like the change up. Sentinels, though, going to play that counter with the thing. They know what's coming, right? And oh, wait. Nectar just tracked down a Madian for free before he could even, firewall? That was insane.
Really quick, really good tracking, obviously, here, right? You have to at that point. Ultron very fast, so that's just a testament how strong these players are on these heroes. Right, amazing, taking this space early, numbers up slightly in his advantage here, keeping the pressure on, and they are gonna, you know, just kind of hold him in this corner. Hopefully, just stalling for as long as possible. This is more of an, you know, this is a good attacking position. Holding this height is always strong in shooters like this, hero shooters like this, due to the nature that you're always looking down on the head. So just instinctively get more headshots while you're holding that position. If you were always curious about height and why it's impactful. Down again with Mellow. One shot there by Nectar.
Oh my God, Nectar is just going insane. This is the tough part. This snowflake from the side of Nemesis has to be used on that Hulk, right? Because they know he takes so much damage, and that's the only way Hulk has that survivability without going to health packs. So everybody else is kind of left out to dry, right? You see that shotgun coming out, able to smoke one of the players of Team Nemesis, and then earlier on, you saw Madian go down, right? He puts the drone on that Human Torch. He's trying to play around that torch for healing and also to help that dive out. But unfortunately, if a Madian doesn't get healed up, he's just kind of gone.
Friends in the audience, if you don't know, look now at this defensible position. If a team holds that top left side, it looks like you as a team should be holding this crevice in the back. It seems to play more defensible. It doesn't catch you out. So this is the counterplay. As you can see here, watch the pros play and you will learn. Sentinels, great job here on defense. Crazy Man, as I'm saying that, finds Aramori early though. And this could go back in their favor, forcing out Qs across the board. Korova matched here with Dinks. Dance floors and now shoving them into that corner. Agamotto goes out for scatter and they take out Korova. Nice pick there. Still holding on as Nemesis now up. Amazing trades with the Madian. Mellow on the amazing right back. Out goes the Meteor. Good throw there by Teki, who just does not miss right now.
Yeah, he had to fall back to the point because he sees all the strategies here. Also, Supernova from Mellow is connecting, and you know, maybe they can come back through, but Crimzo's low, doesn't have a lot of heals. Actually goes for the copy. Invis boundary coming out now from Aramori.
Yeah, and that's going to hold a bit, but not for long. Aramori falls there, and one thing you may not note is if you fall when you're using that Loki copy with Invis, is it'll actually keep that up.
Yeah, that was a nice boot, by the way, as well from Mellow. Slammed down on, but I feel like both teams kind of are struggling with disengaging. You know, we saw in the last series what really strong disengages does, right? We've seen that out of FlyQuest. Meanwhile, Nectar trying to run away, can't really escape. Human Torch just flying at you like a missile, and right now Nemesis just getting that cart space the whole time. I would like to see both teams kind of fix up their disengages, but right now in the neutral, Nemesis taking advantage of Sentinels resetting both times, and Mellow looking so good on Human Torch.
Yeah, Torch is such a problem here, keeping this space and holding them in. Is, you know that if you put those auras on the ground and you land on it, you know you can chunk through strategist ult, so it's threatening to walk through, especially in tight corners. As I say that, down goes Nectar. Mello doing exactly what I'm discussing. Hulk is great in these tight quarters, knocking people away into a wall and proceeding to keep that damage forward. Well done again by Scatter. Does fall there, though, early on, keeping the team, or excuse me, by Craze there. Right, amazing now finally getting this space back. They do already have this corner with a ton of time on the clock, though.
Yeah, Rye going out with the bubble, making sure he can win in the sky against the Invisible Woman shield alongside that Torch, but it's a 1v1 Supernova. He has to go to somebody else, though, to get value out of it, and unfortunately for Rye, I mean, he's the focus right now, so he has to just stay alive. Crimzo, though, set up the Eye of Agamotto on the main side.
Yeah, does not find too much. He does land on a few. Right, Amazing does get the follow-up there on the Craze, and that's going to be one down, but it landed on a few, just wasn't able to completely follow. Right, Amazing going to take on a Madian right back, so that is going to be, you know, more beneficial for their side as they do have to respawn again with another pick here. Great fallback as a team, or great push forward, excuse me, as a team to find a few more to force the stagger.
A huge pick off from Rye. This is the problem, though, with Nemesis, is they have 2 minutes left to go. Sentinels, if they win this next fight, that's momentum back in their favor, even if we move into the third phase of the map. I think this composition doesn't do as well in the third phase, and Nectar might turn online. So right now, Nectar has the final judgment. Rye, they'll get stunned on the backside. Rather gets immobilized by that. Hulk also has to back away. He's deleted again. Oh no, this has been awful from Crash so far.
Yeah, Nemesis holding on to 5 ultimates here. Sentinels with 3, but Techie still getting value through it. Down goes Craze again. That pick has been happening more than I'm sure they would like on the side of Nemesis, who now have in, you know, 2-3 fight territory max with teleport with 124 on the clock, and they're just getting locked in. This is defensible position here. Sentinels holding on to 3 ultimates, working their way to 5 with Rymazing and Crimzo, likely getting it within this next fight. Nemesis got to get some picks here quickly to make this happen for them. Mello going to use that Supernova as I discuss it. Techie going to eat some of those hurricanes and throw it right back to tornadoes, excuse me, right back at them. Not much value there, and here comes the last stand, forcing them down into off angles.
Yeah, this is great evasion of the final judgment, and Kraz also goes towards that cart, caps it as well. So perfectly played by Nemesis. That's what you want to see out of this team if you're a fan of them.
Yeah, and Nemesis is still holding on to those ults. It's been slightly too long. I think they kind of waited some stuff out there, which was good, but you got to press forward. I guess they wanted to discuss one fight, one win situation here, as Rymazing already, again, ready to use these tornadoes to keep the team back and own this space. Hulk trying to take it, but no, not able to do so. Forced off towards the point. Scatter does have this Eye of Agamotto, and this is a great position to use it. You can take that height off the left and drop in with the Eye a little more unsuspectingly, but they're going to have to hold the point here shortly as 20 seconds are left here for Nemesis. Here comes the play. Eye of Agamotto with bubble. Very difficult to counter that. And they are going to force out an ultimate. Great, you know, honestly, really good reaction time. But down goes Dinks. As Rymazing turns that right back at him. And here comes the Eye in return. And it does find a few, but will they get picks off mid? Out go Crystals. Nectar falls from Ricky. Nemesis is going to potentially push through this, but they are losing this space.
I mean, they had the fit of the world, yeah, able to run down this back line, and here comes a Madian on the high ground. Kraz also towards that objective is going to be able to get healed up as well, so they regained that momentum. Sentinels a little bit too far forward, not finding enough value off of their Eye of Agamotto, results in them kind of losing this fight slowly. Aramori going to get staggered up by Kraz, and right now in overtime, they do it. They move on to third phase, but again, I'm worried because I just feel like compositionally right now, Nemesis, for every 3 fights they lose, they only can win 1 right now, so they're going to have to string them together in this third phase. It's going to be very hard versus Nectar because he's kind of struggled on the second phase of the map. So imagine what happens when the map gets more open against Flyers.
Goes to show you what I know. I thought they were holding those ults for a little too long, but really just committed to 1 fight, and it worked out for him. A minute on here, though, and this is a defensible position early on. You're going to try to take this fight in this alleyway because it does give you a little bit of an advantage defensively. Nectar shoving in here immediately with the final judgment. Does it get 1? No. But it does break that shield, allowing Techie to take out Scatter. Great play again by Techie, and good communication here by Sentinels as we are starting to see some more Qs pop. Nemesis holding on to Craze, and that should be it within this next fight.
I mean, you still have some delay coming out from Kraz. Nectar able to get blasted down, but the healing is just too much. The strategist keeping him alive, doing a great job. Sentinels also having to commit that copy. Kraz is going to go down. Oh, no, he lives. 1 HP on the left side, comes back to the team. They have strategist ults to re-engage with, though, as Rye stares off in the distance looking for whoever's in the sky, and looks like it's Mellow.
Yeah, Mellow over here with the Ultron bot. Great eye of Agamotto to find that value out of the sky, take him down, but the dance floor is out to counter that. Dinks, good positioning there. Here comes the Ultron trying to make something happen. Scatter following up as down goes Aramori. Crystal's not going to find any value there. Popped through it as they do fall early, and we do have ultimate advantage once again on the side of Nemesis as Ricky's holding on to that invisible boundary. Will it be enough to push them deep into point 3, or will they get caught here? As Ryan Mazin doing a great job owning this height, dancing, using that juke. There's the escape there. If you're getting hit by hit scan, you do have that almost get out of jail free card. Nectar gonna pop this with the bubble, and now the invisible boundaries popped, and they find so much value through it as Fine Fall. It's gonna force them into final fight territory.
Yeah, that's huge out of Team Nemesis. They did cost them a few ultimates, but regardless, played so well. Does Scatter have the portal up, by the way, for the portal block, or what's going on here? It looks like he was or did. Something might have happened, or if he's doing it right now, I didn't hear the sound effect. Looks like they're able to get out, though. So Sentinels coming back through do have that Jeff to get back, as well as some speed boosts. Ultimate available for Technique at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they didn't have the timer or weren't feeling comfortable with it prior to somebody getting out and maybe taking some space or positioning to scare him a little bit. Techie goes up with the meteor, landing down. Ooh, not able to do it. Good shield invis there. And shows you that millisecond reaction time. Mellow gets 2 with the dive. Right, Amazing turns it on to Scatter, Immediate, and Dinks. And this could be enough to take point 3. Will they come back? Nemesis looking really good as another. They do get all 3. Nemesis pushing through with 1 minute on the start of that fight.
Wow, I assumed Nectar would be able to do a lot on Punisher on third phase, and I assumed incorrectly. Nemesis just kind of snowballed, able to win the crucial fights back to back to back, use their Stratus ultimates perfectly, Amadian as well, connecting with his ult, just getting so much momentum for their team, and snowballed towards the very end. Sentinels, unfortunately for them, not able to hold in that third phase. Maybe they're gonna have to look at the drawing boards, because that Punisher, man, just didn't work out, unfortunately.
Yeah, well played again by Nemesis. Really looked more in the favor of Sentinels, who were really shutting things down there on point 2 all the way to final fight territory. But Nemesis stayed calm. They ended up using their ultimates in one fight, pushed through, had literally a minute 20 on point 3, but still just owning that and just pushing through when need be, allowing that invis ult was incredible there by the side of Ricky. They got a 5-piece through it, because it does obviously hide your team. It's hard to see where they're coming from, and there was I believe we saw a pick from Amadian, we saw a few from Mellow. It was just enough to shove the team back into the spawn door, not able to portal trap them off, but still won that fight.
And right now, Nemesis on their defense, I mean, they feel comfortable with their composition they're running. I think the Invisible Woman as well has been doing pretty solid. And meanwhile, portal play off the map setting up now for Scatter. We'll see if it works out. 5 seconds left to go. Crimzo on Doctor Strange as well. We'll see if they are even thinking about the potential portal play, because there's so much to think about as a pro player. So the counter portal is going to come through, or just off the map right now as everybody's under it. Oh no! Bye! See you later! Wait, who was that? Was that a Luna? Wait, it was Luna Snow, wasn't it? Shouldn't she be gone? Where'd she go?
I believe he was floating, although it didn't look like he was. He managed to have a slight jump there, kind of tricking them into using that defensive portal. They were able to jump right around it. So wow, what?
Can you stand on the portal?
You can if you're hovering. I believe he might have been hovering slightly. I'm not 100% sure, but just, or maybe the portal was placed a little bit off. I'm not
yeah, because it was Kurova. Kurova definitely went through that portal. Because we saw Kurova in the spawn, so definitely something happened there. I mean, I want to watch that back. Definitely clip that. Kurova's still dead anyway, regardless, as Dinks has the follow-up on a Crimzo. So Nectar swapped to the Bucky, not enabling them to find too many picks, although they're able to connect onto a few more targets here as Sentinels kind of create some space. But yeah, I mean, Nemesis right now, first hold, first kind of counterplay coming out from Scatter worked out. 1 minute off the clock now. Sentinels, no ultimates built up either, so it was a really rough fight for them as they regroup and stagger Nectar too. Oh no, that's so bad.
Yeah, Nemesis is just playing very calm. I said this prior. They're looking like a different team right now in these fights, where before it was like every ult was matched immediately. They are just playing patient, finding value, and then slowly letting the fights extend while they're up in numbers so that they can get those picks later on and force staggers out by just making these fight last a while. So I like what I'm seeing here from Nemesis, which is why they selected this map.
Yeah, walking up right now, Sentinels kind of do have the counter to go, but Anadian comes in. Ultron's range just going aggressive, forcing away Sentinels, who actually do a good job sort of playing around that corner, ducking back around. Now re-engaged, enabled for them to come back through. Sentinels have some sort of ultimate advantage after he used it, although Ultron builds up those ultimates quickly. Supernova from Mellow is here, and everybody's stuck inside, so they're going to have to counter with a Stratus ultimate soon.
Yeah, that's a terrifying position to be in when you see that supernova, but they do get walked out there with the bond, and we see Dinks popping all to counteract that. Ricky holding on to the invisible boundary should they need it. Agamotto gets popped, Scatter, and Mello gonna take out two. Another huge eye here. Well done, Strange. In this tournament, these eyes of Agamotto, they're not getting frozen immediately. They are finding value. Scatter again, well played by Nemesis, and now we are at 1:30 with no ticks on the point.
Yeah, I might have spoke too soon talking about Sentinels getting out of the playoff or getting into the playoffs as the first seed, as Nemesis looked formidable at the current moment. Doing a great job holding. Maybe can turn this back into a reverse sweep if they win this to put themselves in the #1 seed for the playoffs on Thursday next week, or rather this week because it's already Sunday. So right now, Sentinels have ultimates coming into it. Nemesis did use a lot last fight, but Melo's coming up on yet another supernova, and there's no Stratus ultimates to counter it.
Yeah, roughly even across the board here. Sentinels using that supernova immediately just to try to take that space and just to kind of use like a visual clutter wall, as we see Amadian now popping that Ultron, trying to, you know, turn that back at him, does force him back in there. It's essentially a counteract ultimate there, defensive ultimate. Mello now with a ton of hurricane or tornadoes, and there is going to be a 1 as we lose Techie on the offense, and that is a huge pick, losing the Magneto in the defensible positioning of that bubble. Right, Amazing goes down, 40 seconds on the clock. Crimson still gets one onto a median, but will it be enough as they did force ultimates after losing numbers? That's a difficult position to be in, as now Nemesis has nothing. Sentinels do have multiple ultimates, and they are going to walk back in here, and it looks like this might be in their favor.
Yep, Kurova, nice shots from him as well. Connects onto the high ground. Here comes the Hulk back into Monster Hulk form. Does have the ultimate available. Meanwhile, Nectar goes for that hook, not able to find it. Hasn't been able to use the Kraken impact necessarily just yet, but here comes Dinks, aggressive with the Fate of the Worlds. You know they'll all be here. We'll see when Nectar wants to pop this. Agamotto is here from Scatter to slow him down, and they actually connect on to multiple people with the damage boost. That's so much downrange. Nectar is what had to back up, and he got smoked by Hulk. Removed over time, now ticks down. Sentinels surely going to lose this one unless something else happens from Amazing. Nemesis, they might have turned this series on its head as they win their first map in this best out of 5.
Holding them on point 1 shows you how confident they felt and how confident they looked. What a defense there. Again, Nemesis taking this to game 4, excuse me, as they shove through and fight back here, trying to make sure that they can clinch this and get the higher seed in this final of bracket B.
I mean, Nemesis could definitely do it. They maybe have figured something out ban-wise. I mean, they were able to adapt to playing around the Hulk. I think that they kind of struggled in the Streets phase of the game, but then, you know, Kraz came online. Only 2 eliminations on him from the whole time, so he's been doing a great job kind of creating space, also utilizing the ultimate, just kind of being disruptive. You saw in that last fight, Nectar couldn't do anything because of the CC that happened, the crowd control, for those of you who don't know that shortening of the word. And right now, Nectar, you know, it was a tough series again from him. I think this one, it wasn't really his fault necessarily, but right now they got to figure something out on Sentinel's side, kind of adjust to these bans, because at the moment, I mean, they were totally fine running no mag, right? And this is kind of what we talked about, Shib, where maybe the over prioritization of the Emma ban, maybe the over focus of the Magneto ban results in teams getting a little tunnel visioned, right? So as long as you get that Human Torch, it seems like Mello kind of put the team on his back, and they were able to play hard around him with a Median on that Ultron. Sentinel is not able to do that because of the Ultron ban. So Nemesis reacting so well on the map number 3 to the ban phase.
Yeah, we've said it 1,000 times that if you pocket the torch, you have that invis shield, and you have that Ultron bot versus a non-pocketed torch in virtually any way, as they don't have the invis or the Ultron. It is so difficult to win those trades, and you saw the 20 final hits there from the side of Mello, just disgusting on the torch. So yeah, it's very difficult to win those trades, especially when you're putting it into this strong of a duelist.
Yep, 100%. And right now, Nemesis going to that map number 4, they might do it. They could potentially reverse sweep. In the AMER, we almost saw a reverse sweep. Didn't happen. By the way, Melophobia with your MVP, definitely well-deserved, right, Shib? I mean, he was able to do so much damage. Also, secure eliminations, farm supernovas. Like, he was doing everything you could possibly do in Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, it was clean, and it showcased 3-0, right? Not able to push through the comp difference, and that's that banning phase win that we saw. We needed, if you're a side of Nemesis, they needed something like that to take this W, and they got it.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can keep it up in the next map. It will be chosen by Sentinels, right? So they can go to a map they feel comfortable on. And Clintar, obviously a better map for Nemesis. Last time Sentinels won that map, now on the backside, they were able to finally win it. And the ban phase looked quite different than the last time that they played that map. So, I mean, obviously that does sort of change a lot of the dynamic. And in a best out of 5, that's what happens, right, Chip? That's what you mentioned. That's the great part of having a best out of 5, is that we can, you know, see really who the best team is in these ban phases. But we will go to a short break. We'll see what happens on map number 4.
Welcome back, everyone, as we just witnessed Nemesis step it up and take home a win. So now the series is 2-1. Can they have the sweep? What did you think of that match?
Yeah, I think that they definitely could do it. I think right now Nemesis are looking better than they did previously. You know, on map number 1 and 2, they kind of didn't deviate the bans enough. I mean, they looked pretty solid at points, like we saw in Araco at the first point. They snowballed, right? Sentinels just didn't know how to react on the defense. Sentinels then picked it up afterwards with that Wolverine. Now that the Wolverine sort of removed, Sentinels kind of look a little bit lost, right, Shib? I think that they've struggled since that character got out of there. I mean, Punisher hasn't really worked out, unfortunately for them. I mean, they do put Amazing on that Human Torch, but you know, I feel like it just didn't pan out against Team Nemesis, who, you know, on their attack just able to get so much value on that character. I mean, Mello was just going insane.
Yeah, we talk about just the pocket. It's almost impossible to diff a torch if they have a double pocket like that, and you do not at all. So I guarantee we see a ban out there on the side of Sentinels to stop that. But as I say that, the lock-in immediately is going to be that torch. They want to run that right back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. It's, I mean, Emma Frost, yeah, well, Emma Frost is pretty good. So I guess it makes sense why you have to ban Emma Frost first. You know, we'll see what changes happen, what changes come through. Okay, we get an Ultron ban. Okay, so they think that was the problem with the Human Torch. Considering they are going to run Human Torch, you might as well react to what they were going to do, force them onto something like maybe do 222. I think they were trying it before with a Madian on the Hela, potentially with that Human Torch instead, as a cap ban comes through on a Sentinels, to make sure Crimzo can't play that, make sure they don't have the full dive come through, as Psylocke was available as well in case Nectar ever wanted to go for that Psylocke dive alongside Captain America again. But the both bans available. Wolverine looks like it's being hovered again for Team Nemesis, and it would make sense as we go to Hell's Heaven. This is a very good Wolverine map.
Yeah, back on domination, Sentinels, you know, they've been dominating domination, but really have, especially against Nemesis. So this could be heavily in their favor, at least off the rip. We got to see Nemesis change it up here on their strategy on doms. It's typically been their weak point. They do get rid of that wolf, like you mentioned. Cap's gone too, so less of that divey strap, but they do lock in Ultron on the other side.
Yeah, giving some more support to Amazing, and the Wolverine ban forced them to kind of deviate to something else. So it was either that Wolverine ban or that Ultron ban this time. Ultron, well, because it wasn't protected last time. It was, what was it, the mag protected. So Sentinels are adapting. Mag ban could come through from them, but they go for the Luna Snow ban this time. So it's a Human Torch protect and Ultron protect. Now the last protect available for Team Nemesis. They go for the Hulk protect because they don't want Kraz on something else. I don't know. That's interesting because you could still run Cap, right? So I don't know.
It might be a comfortability thing, you know, where they want to have Hulk. I mean, Hulk has a ton of value. Obviously, Cap being, you know, definitely, I would say stronger, at least in this tournament in terms of presence. But Hulk is comfortable, right? So if you're able to make, you know, make plays and have a presence on the field, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, you're right. I think the Hulk is something Kraz is great at, and there's a lot of very good Hulk players across the world. And I think we saw someone for FlyQuest, you know, earlier on when we saw it was either Spark Chief, it was Spark Chief playing it, right? Yeah, so Spark Chief on that hero looked pretty damn good. Now for Team Nemesis, they're going to be able to play around that hero, play around their Human Torch, but without that Ultron. So we'll see if that changes things for Sentinels. It's these small changes that kind of matter in terms of the macro of this series, right? Because for Sentinels and Nemesis, they're both fighting for that 1 seed, right? We're going to Hell's Heaven up next. Nemesis, this is their worst map. There's no other way to put it, right? Nemesis kind of stink at this map at the current moment. I know that's not a large sample size from a competitive standpoint, right? The fact that we've only seen them on it, I believe, twice, maybe 3 times. Not exactly their best map, so we'll see how they do. I mean, Clintar, they did lose to Sentinels before. It's a good map for them generally, but just against Sentinels, they happen to lose it. This time they win it, so momentum hopefully back in their favor for them and their fans. Right now for Team Nemesis, Getting that Hulk is big, but again, like you mentioned, Chip, not going to have that Ultron in the sky alongside the Human Torch. That definitely is a massive factor for that matchup in the sky for Amazing and Mellow.
Yeah, I agree. You talk about just the micro changes being everything. And once again, the one thing that I'm a little bit concerned about is you do see now on the opposite side with Sentinels, there's a pocket on that torch. It's going to make it more difficult. Although Invis is still in for Ricky to help out with Mello. We'll see which pocket is better with the drone or with the shield as we begin this first fight. Amazing holding that off angle. Nectar going to put a ton of damage down on to the front line of Craze. And that is not going to be enough to get the pick early, but they're going to reset up here on height.
Yep, chilling at the current moment. Nemesis sort of surrounding the objective. And, oh my gosh, Mello goes really low. Passive puck. Oh my god, what a save from Kraz. Are you kidding me? He has to back up, but what an immobilization of that torch in the sky from Kraz. Saved his Human Torch because he doesn't have drone. He's not going to get healed up too consistently. Only had that passive to stay alive. Meanwhile, now Nectar's on the back foot. It's Amazing, the one on that Ultron. Nectar gets the better in the sky onto Mello.
Yeah, that's that infinite value you can get with the lockdown from Hulk. That exile can be, you know, so impactful when you land it at the right time. Nectar gonna follow up Korova onto a Median, and that is gonna be an early Sentinels take here on a map that they may be favored at.
I felt like, honestly, this is the change that Sentinels needed. I mean, the fact they put Nectar over to the Human Torch. Rye is a great Human Torch player, but having Rye on Ultron, Nectar on the Human Torch, I think is something that Sentinels can play around, right? Nectar is an incredibly good Human Torch player, Ultron as well, but maybe that swap is what they need. I mean, Rye maybe more traditionally known as that hit scan player. Usually Nectar plays that Psylocke, plays some of those divey characters as well, but right now for Nectar, this is that change that I think Sentinels needed to get back in the driver's seat. Nemesis, though, switch to full res composition, running that Adam Warlock alongside the Mantis and the Cloak and Dagger.
Crimzo trying to own this space. Does have Eye ready. Ultimate advantage here for Sentinels. We begin this fight. Amazing going to initiate here with Ultron's Rage. Doesn't find much as we do lose bonds on both sides. Out goes Eternal. Do we see any pick here? A lot of the time you'll see these cloaks go right into cloak form after that ult because they know the healing is out. They don't need to worry about it. Instead, they try to find a pick. Amadian onto Nectar. Amazing onto Ricky. Back and forth again as Sentinels are holding on at 55%.
Yeah, but the res is coming through. I mean, that's tough to deal with. And Ricky came back through. Soul Resurgence, shields there. Oh my god, what a snipe from Techie. But it's into a player who can just self-res himself. So Mello's going to be back in the fight. Kraz gets one of the Amazing while the Galactic Legend is coming through from Amadian. And right now we're seeing the value of triple res. Picks came through from Sentinels, but it was just one. It was just one into one, and it was every character that can get brought back. Right now, Sentinels head back to the spawn. Team Nemesis, this could be the change that they needed, is playing triple res alongside. Now Mello has that ultimate. I feel like this is an easier map to get the Resurrect off on the Adam Warlock, but Sentinels, you know, they do have ultimates coming up. Supernova is amazing. It's a big ultimate as well, and Mello could be hunted down.
First time we have seen Warlock today with a res comp. It is a problem. We know Sentinels can do it too, so we'll see if that gets matched out. Doesn't need to be happening yet, as there's 79% here for Sentinels. They are going to start taking this space. You talk about the flyers of Amazing and Nectar. Both being able to do it is a huge advantage. A lot of the time the teams are running a flyer and somebody who runs hit scan almost exclusively as like kind of the talent lineup, but both of them being able to get out here, provide that height and damage as Techie finds Ricky early, but that could be a res available, as we know Warlock res is available from Mello as well. Who, you know, a lot of time we see that hit scan go on to Warlock, and here comes the initiation. Amazing on the Diggs, Korova on the scatter, but here's the reses as they all come back into the fight.
Yeah, all coming back indeed, but they're immediately going to fall. Unfortunately, they split up towards the point. Well, Kraz actually was the one to go down, so he'll have to come back. They do Soul Bond. They come back out with the Soul Resurgence. Can they find those eliminations? Nectar goes down.
Yeah, and a reset again as point goes back towards Sentinel's favor. 87% here, keeping the space, and out goes that Legend. But yeah, Amadian gonna find Amazing after the res. Make that two as Korova goes down. Do I see three? Holding it to 99. Ooh, trying to use that. I don't know if I agree with it that early, but maybe it was already transformed, so you just kind of, you know, you have to use it at that point.
Yeah, tough situation for Armory to be in, committing it early, but you have to on low-key, right? Because you don't want to get picked off. So right now, Team Nemesis, no ultimates, right? They just used everything in the previous fight. They do have the Hulk ready to go, but it's against Sentinels. Both Vanguards, you talked about earlier how important these Vanguards have been. for at least Nemesis on their side. We saw Scatter and Kraz kind of do some crazy combos. Maybe Crimzo and Teki have it in their banks as well. They do have Strangling Prison, which is one of the best ultimates in the game. Self-res is now available as well for Mello and Ricky in a moment, as I believe those timers are coming up online. Hulk forced to use the ultimate early, just trying to disrupt the backline, potentially help a dive coming out, but with the Soul Bond, he's able to stay in there for a little bit longer and take down Rye. No way.
Yeah, that's good focus and great ultimate usage. We've seen Cray just pop off here on Hulk, which, you know, it may be a little more, you know, just more difficult to find value with that ultimate. It's a lot of focus and it's a lot of just combination, using that knockback into an immediate jump to grab him out of the sky and follow up with another knockback. Outside of it, they usually just get healed right back up. Nectar finds Ricky, Amadian onto Armori, back and forth again as Nectar finds Mello. Cray's man got a Kurova and Scatter onto Nectar. It's just back and forth at 99.
Yeah, these picks don't matter, though. I mean, it's two characters that now have that cooldown up to res, so Portal's going to have to come through from Sentinels if they want a chance to really win this. At least the people coming back from spawn, though. I mean, they have some portals, right? Kurova has it, so he can't even teleport, and now everybody's kind of coming through, and they're just going to have to give it up and go next round.
Nemesis getting it done on a map that maybe they did not favor, been working on it. Watch the tapes, and they take home point one.
What a map, what a play there from Team Nemesis to swap over to that stuff, right, to swap over to that you know, full triple res composition. And we've seen this at EMEA as well. That's the sort of counter to these divey compositions, right, Shib? It just feels like anytime that you're on Human Torch having to deal with a Mantis, Atom, and the Cloak and Dagger, you lose value because, I mean, the whole point of Human Torch is to go in with a full combo, right? Use all of your cooldowns, slam dunk, kill one or KO one person. But the problem is, like, after you find one person, where's the other ones? And right now, Team Nemesis splitting up so well, avoiding any follow-up damage from Nectar. It's been hard for him in this map.
Yeah, because now not only when you get it picked, you have to worry about like cooldowns being utilized. You have to worry about a second life of them coming back here, and then also just the inherent use of Mantis with sleep, and then you've got Warlock's Bond, so it just does really shut down that dive back and forth. It's just a great comp to run into this dive for sure.
Coming back into it, 23 seconds before the point unlocks. Stunned Sentinels slowing it down currently, right? Kurova does have the ultimate available, but it's going to be into Scatter with the Meteor M. Nemesis, though, they have so many ults to work around. Here comes the mating with the blasters, gets bubbled early and just finds Kurova early on. Oh no, that's one of the crucial ultimates they needed. No greens there in time from Aramori. They're going to have to copy at least one of the members of Team Nemesis, which is, in this case, a Mantis. So they just get the Soul Resurgence, arguably one of the worst, you know, Stratus ultimates in the game. Strangling Prison's there. The follow-up is there as well from Nectar and Rymazing, so it didn't end up mattering. They're able to take full advantage, but the res for Mello up top, right? They're all together as a unit, healing up. Also Soul Bond available in just a moment. They come back through with their own Soul Resurgence. Nobody is here just yet. Unfortunately, Kurova just shows up now, but the point is in favor of Team Nemesis. You have Mello on the left side trying to get that one shot. Does not connect. Terror Cape as well on the backside, but the follow-up damage from Sentinels is unfortunately not there. Nectar trying to find more, but Amadian again. Now in the Galactic Legend in the sky, not able to, or sorry, Sentinels not able to react to it as the greens not there in time to save anybody, and Team Nemesis fully advantaged right now.
That positioning on Mello's res was game-changing, holding on to the point when they already capped it with a great spot on the top left behind wall, brings the team back in to retake the point. They're at 43 and still have Craze with ult and should have Scatter soon, so just a great sweep. Goes to show you that Warlock is still no joke, nothing to be messed with, especially when this full res comp is on the table.
Yep, Nectar looking around knowing there's a Hulk back there, but the surround from Nemesis. This is what what Sentinels were doing earlier, or rather Nemesis was doing earlier with the Psylocke and Captain America, doing it yet again with Kraz on the backline. Supernova available from Nectar. Oh, just falls over to Ricky. I mean, that's just unbelievable. The greens were not there in time yet again. Unfortunately, a common occurrence for this team. Strangling Prison's here, but is the damage not there? The follow-up damage from Rye finally gets one reset. Can he get another one? Dives onto one, finds two. Kraz trades it back in the back. No res as well for Mello. He's going to go down. And again, with the Kraken impact, Rymazing able to get three, make it four. Rye closes it out. They did use, on top of that, the Eternal Bond. Team Nemesis sent back to spawn. Hulk stagger as well, because unfortunately, they already flipped the point.
Yeah, they're just going to wait this thing out now, buying as much time as possible. Is going to head right towards that window. Smart play there as the team's going to have to reset. Probably not going to try to get the pick there. Nice, Nectar. It's going to give alt charge. A lot of the time you want to try to jump off or use that grenade from Bruce there to force yourself off so it does not go towards the enemy side. But still, good stagger there for the side of Sentinels to try to get some of this percentage back. 84% on the side of Nemesis.
Sentinels need to come back in this fight, right? Losing this map would be terrible. Also, Nemesis look a lot better in Hell's Heaven today. Walking in now with that Soul Resurgence, they create a little bit of space. They walk in as well with their Soul Bond, committing the greens, and then Kurova's ultimate is Sentinels. They have to react quickly. If they react too slowly, the damage boost can kind of put you on the back foot. Dinks though in the back line, still available with his Terror capable to create a lot of space for Team Nemesis. I mean, No Strider's ultimate's also available. Kurova's going to go down. Aramori, unfortunately, doesn't have ultimate just yet, so everybody else just gets mopped up for Team Nemesis as they, with their cooldowns, able to create so much space on the Sentinels, they couldn't even react. And 90% on the board right now. I mean, Crimzo's getting staggered. He had Strangling Prison. I mean, Portal's going to come through from Nectar now. It's desperation for Sentinels.
My, oh my, has the tides turned. Nemesis in every single one of these fights, taking it home. They are looking incredible right now as they can't even touch.
I think also the Portal was coming through, and it got stunned by Hulk, I think, because he just like yeeted it across the map, pretty sure. I mean, maybe somebody in chat will clip it for us to look at afterwards. Chat, Jarvis, clip that, please. Jarvis is the entirety of Twitch chat, apparently. Nemesis, though, like you said, Shib, I mean, now we're tied up. This is crazy. We could have a reverse sweep. We didn't see it in EMEA. It was stopped at the last second. But today, I mean, Nemesis have a good shot at doing so as they've figured out Sentinels.
Yeah, this is insane to look at. I mean, we had this conversation that the tides kind of look like they changed here. Nemesis really clutching up. I like the team comp from Nemesis, the shift there. We thought initially if they were going to try to run Torch, it was going to just not work out for them when they had the pocket, but they just made a full comp switch, which I think was the right play. Instead of beating their head into the wall with a similar comp, they just couldn't get it done. So what a change, and it just worked ever since that switch. It was nonstop in their favor. So just big brain plays here by Nemesis, who might have a reverse sweep on their hands.
Yeah, they might have the reverse sweep indeed, and this is the triple res comp, triple strategist comps, sort of kind of being the mainstay, right? You know, when I was I feel bad for saying this, but I did a unranked to Celestial challenge. Sorry, I'll never do it again. Listen, don't ban me, please. I'm sorry. We did it on Ultron, and there were so many games that when the character came out, right? Everybody's like, this character doesn't heal enough. Why are you on Ultron? Please swap off Ultron. But what happens is you do need this triple strategist composition to make up for the lack of healing of Ultron, because Ultron is more of that damage dealing character that we talk about. Just does so much downrange. You can also still play. You can win with a 2-2-2 with Ultron comp, especially in silver, platinum, and whatever rank that I was in at the time. Whenever people were like, please, Ultron's the problem, and then we look at the end of the game, it's MVPs across the board. Don't mention it, by the way, but regardless, I think that Ultron, you can, especially at low ranks, you can deal with lacking that healing if you're just aggressive enough, right? If you're able to find those picks, able to not take as much damage, because right now in this game, a ton of people have a problem, Shib. That problem is taking damage, right? People think, okay, I take damage, I get healed. No. Realistically, in hero shooters, fundamentals is to just like not take so much damage, right? Yeah. Like in this game, yeah, because strategists are so good, it makes up for the well, honestly, lacking of gameplay from a lot of lower tier players. So realistically, if you're taking less damage, you're helping out your strategist, you're helping your team win.
And that's why it's all about natural cover. If you do have that Ultron and you're struggling and your team is getting wiped, try to make a change into something with a shield. Try to run that double shield if need be. Let Ultron be the force he needs to be. Play around natural cover and try to reduce the amount of damage taken. Like you are mentioning, it's all about KOs, not about raw damage. So you want to play slow, let Ultron get that ult and cycle it towards the back line, and just instead don't put yourself in a risky position. But yeah, I mean, it looked really good there for Nemesis. That res comp, we haven't seen it today, was popping off across the board. And yeah, I love the change as Mello makes that, the res there is nothing to scoff at. I think it won them that point.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Warlock is so good as well on that point. I mean, it feels like you could just get that res off. Also, like you said, I mean, Mello getting that res over the top side on that second round. So just great work from him. And yeah, I will never do a unranked to Celestial challenge again. That's you know what? I look at I look at YouTube and I see Otter just constantly doing his unranked to Celestial challenge, and I'm like, man, that is bullying. But anyway, we're gonna get a short break. We'll see you guys for map number 5 in just a moment.
Welcome back, everyone. Will the reverse sweep happen? 2-2 Nemesis versus Sentinels. This is what you want to see if you want to watch a good game. Me personally love the good game. Wow, Nemesis, really well played.
Yeah, Nemesis looking good, man. I mean, now we get to go to a map that the Sentinels pick again. In Domination, that was the map they needed to win on, right? We talked about how Hell's Heaven, not exactly the best Nemesis map so far. I mean, they lost it to Shroud X, right? So it's obviously very small sample size. That's why we have to stress that part, because so few games compared to practice, compared to behind the scenes when all these teams are actually preparing for this $3 million tournament. So for Team Nemesis, turning it around on that map is huge. I think that would be a massive momentum shift. Sentinels, I don't know, Shiv, do you think it's finally time to stop banning Emma Frost first, or are we still going with that?
I'm curious if this is the time, but we do see Sentinels instantaneously, both sides. Bye-bye Emma, as is tradition here. But yeah, I think we need to see a shakeup. I do like that counter. It's like if they're going to run Torch, we're going to run Rez, and we'll make those picks less valuable. So unique strategy and thought process there as we're heading over to Holiday Jolly. Another convergence map here. I thought it was going to be another domination. That was incorrect, but this is going to be another tight match, man. And I think Nemesis definitely has the momentum. Sentinels got to get back up on their feet here.
That they do. I mean, yeah, after that, what is it? After, I believe after round 3, or sorry, game 3, it resets. So you can pick from any single map, correct? Or it does just goes back in order.
I believe so. Yeah, it might have to go back in order, but either way, I do think that no matter what, Nemesis, the fact that they were able to come back on a map that they have been struggling with heavy goes to show you they have been working on the flaws, right? They've been bouncing back from what they've been dealing with in the past, and they are showing up today as we see a different ban out here. Bye-bye Psylocke for Nemesis.
Yeah, they were hovering the Human Torch ban, but without the Ultron. We'll see if Sentinels want to protect that, or sorry, they still have the Ultron. They just they banned it on the opposite side. We'll see if they want to protect the Human Torch. Nemesis on their side. They hovered it, went towards the Wolverine. They thought against it just because of how strong Nectar and the Wolverine was. And there it is, protect of the Human Torch. I wonder if we'll see a Mantis ban potentially here, because we have Cap, we have Human Torch. Okay, it's going to be an Ultron protect, or sorry, ban rather. So I'm curious to see if Sentinels want to play triple, right? Because that is available. That's something they can do, make that Human Torch a lot more of a threat. Meanwhile, Loki ban came through from Sentinels as well, as alongside that Ultron ban to make sure the Human Torch is not as dangerous. But Nemesis kind of proved they can flex off the Human Torch if need be.
Yeah, I want to see if it's a different story here, as we did see success there for Sentinels on another one of those push maps with the flyer domination, right? So we'll see if that changes up here with Torch now being the focus instead of Storm. And, you know, the ban phase not too different from what we've seen in the past, except for they're really trying to limit what we can see from the sky. We see Techie obviously consistently getting that Magneto and finding a ton of value. I'm surprised maybe, you know, some teams have elected to get rid of Magneto prior to Emma and finding value that way, but they want to keep that around. We see Nectar now going to be on, at least so far, the Hela, and that is a different change here that's what they've been running the last few matches.
Man, Hall Jalia, I think that's a solid map for the Hela, but we saw in the Hunter Thieves match that, you know, didn't really matter playing the Hela. It seems like versus these Human Torch teams in general, it seems to be very hard to play it, but now we head into it. Early, this is the lineup we were talking about earlier, by the way. This is the one that SJP died to. Kraz across the map, got the lineup.
Yeah, this is the thing. So just a reminder, if you take damage from this lineup and you don't get KO'd, just make sure you stand near a strategist and do not let them heal you up just yet. Wait till the map starts. Wait for that 15 seconds because it will give them alt charge. Try to turn that around on them by playing smart, but there is a ton of mines there. You don't want to play that game when there's that many lined up, but you can kind of play ahead of that and try to find some value in reverse rather than just getting cleaned up by that lineup.
And I'm sure that there's like 3 nerds looking out there like, why are you showing that? I can't believe you would show my kid in tech, when like everybody does it. It's like literally like everybody and their mother does it at this point. Like I literally know my mom will log on the game and do it and get a free elimination. It's that easy. But regardless, Team Nemesis gonna lock on that Star-Lord, which is interesting, alongside Mello on the Human Torch. It's just to have the opportunity, I suppose, to flex back over to the triple res. Meanwhile, Sentinels, they do like Crimzo on that Captain America. That's why they protected it. And Nectar, like you mentioned, Shiv, gonna have him on that Hela. But Mello, I mean, he's gonna be so hard to hit. And he also has the Luna Snowflake as well. But Kraz out of Hulk form, didn't see in the kill feed, but did go down, or a KO feed. Is Kraz gonna fall? Everybody has to reset now once that Hulk is removed.
Yeah, typically when you see Star-Lord, it's either you're running res or you're running that Magneto bubble comp, and your job is to just all off cooldown as fast as possible. So that's what we're seeing here. But Sentinels cleaning up everyone, sending them back to the spawn door slowly but surely. Great positioning, great first fight. Nemesis gonna have to bounce back here. I wonder if we'll see any changes. Probably not yet, as no alts have been launched. But yeah, actually, we do see a Madian make that switch immediately over to Hela instead of that Star-Lord for the spin to win.
Ooh. That should be fun. We get the matchup again between Nectar and Amadian. Haven't seen Nectar play too much Hela so far. It's usually Rye whenever that character is unbanned, but also, you know, in old Sentinels gameplay, they would ban Hela first. So nowadays, Hela's still strong, but Flyers tend to have their sort of counterplay just by, you know, hovering around angles, playing around walls. Meanwhile, Team Nemesis, they're going to walk into this left side. Walls being broken for Amadian, kind of playing without the team. Going to come in late to maybe find this rotate as Sentinels get collapsed upon. Team Nemesis sort of rotating all the way around. You can see that the angle by Amadian and Main being so annoying. Just looking for that Hela on the backside as Amadian actually loses a shot, has to go get to the health pack, so he's slowed down. Meanwhile, for Sentinels, they're sort of hard controlling this point. 2 minutes is already off the clock. They have the Captain American ultimate from Crimzo, forcing out Dinks and his ult, but Melo's already able to find one. I mean, unfortunately, Nectar losing out on the high ground, didn't have the team to support him. Bubbles coming through. Nectar could swap to Dr. Strength, but he's not going to. They come back, force out Invisible Boundary. Here comes the Meteor over the high ground. Does it connect into a bubble? Melo on the opposite side able to find Aramori. So through these ultimate, Sentinels unfortunately losing member after member. They need to find something out of this Supernova, but it's met by Scatter and his Meteor M to counter it. So the point fully in control of Team Nemesis. No Dr. Strange portals either. Amadian kind of zoning out with the Goddess of Death. They're going to wait it out. Maybe have somebody touch last second. It's going to be Crimzo to be there on Sentinel's side to delay a little bit longer. Shield comes out to save the Hela. Has to dive to the high ground. Here comes Nectar in the high ground. Does get one on the back. Dink goes down also into the Invisible Boundary. Nice support job there from Aramori. And into the sky, Nectar's looking for Melo, but it's Kurova to find the final hit. Dropping to the ground is that body, the Ragdoll. And everybody else now from Team Nemesis gets sent back to the spawn with a minute left.
What a retake and what good patience by Aramori. A lot of the time when you come in as a strat and you see your team almost losing that point, you just launch it. Aramori, patient, waiting until it got the most value until the very end there where the team was looking dangerous and used all their cooldowns, and then popping that boundary allowed the team to stay up as they have found Kraz over on the right angle trying to, you know, play off the backside. Is going to be found out there and run after by Crimzo, who does almost have that ultimate. Sentinels, it's the final fight here. Can they hold on? On point one, but Melo, that early pick on Arai is massive for Melo, who now is giving their team a slight advantage in this next fight, which could be their final fight to take this first point.
Yeah, what a read by Melo now coming in over the top. Here comes a Freedom Charge in the backside, and Nemesis, they don't have anything to react to it except that opening pickoff that they got. Crimzo kind of just doing all he can to force ultimates out. Here comes Ricky with the Invisible Boundary. Very defensive. Pulled back in as well on Crimzo, so huge support job from Ricky, but unfortunately not able to find the elimination. Now on the point side, Nemesis still looking for that final tick. They're getting engaged upon by Kurova with the dance floor as Dinks pops his own. 1-to-1 Scatter in the sky with the Meteor M. Can he find elimination? It's Amadian to do so. Amazing trying to counter it on the backside. Unfortunately cannot do it. Goddess of Death in the sky as well, so much damage downrange now. Meteor M to counter the Goddess of Death. And the bubble again from Scatter. So right now, Nemesis, his Vanguards, putting an absolute carry job online as Nemesis cap out the point in overtime.
Yeah, Nemesis, great job there, finding value with the ult and still holding on. Patient. Melo didn't have to use it. Kraze didn't have to use it, and they still get 2 more picks to stagger the team on point 2. So that is a great fight, final fight there. Good patience, an incredible bubble, defensive utilization of cooldowns, shutting down massive things like Techie, who had to launch that ult just a little bit too early, unfortunately, to shut down the strat line. So well played across the board by Nemesis again, shoving through point 1, and now are going to try to use this momentum to take the W and win this series against Sentinels. Will they keep this going?
2 minutes left. Melo pops the Supernova onto the... Oh, right! No! An unfortunate redirection into the sky on his face. The Supernova wasn't even intended for him, but it didn't matter. He's gonna fall. So is the rest of his team. Crimzo as well. I mean, wait, Kraz also committed the Freedom Charge. I don't know how necessary it was, but regardless, Nemesis going to the spawn camp. I mean, finding staggers is one to Aramori. Oh no, the Streets phase. We talked about it earlier, Shib, how brutal it's been for a lot of professional teams to even find some semblance of momentum here. Crimzo coming into touch though. He's going to be here with the bubble as well, but so much damage, so many people looking towards him. Eventually he'll fall. And oh wait, Invisible Boundary's here, but I don't know if Techie's going to fall. So now missing both Vanguards. They're trying to sustain in the Stratus Ultimates, but once they're over, I worry for Sentinels in the Streets phase.
Yeah, this is a very, very difficult point to shut through this quickly, and Nemesis just gets it done. What? Wow, that was insane teamwork. Really well played. Way to stagger through everyone. That is the key. You got to refight as a team. They try to get back there and lost their vanguards on point, just trying to hold on. The strat all came out a little bit too late, unfortunately, and they just kind of walked through them at that point. It was just a matter of when that boundary fell, the team would fall after, and Sentinels got to get their feet under them here as they have 2 ults compared to Nemesis 1 on this next fight.
2 minutes left. Far rotate coming in from Sentinels. I mean, that's all the way around the map. They do have Crimzo to stall, and that's the rotate they made. I mean, it's such a clean rotate from them. That's what Sentinels is so good at, making those unconventional long rotations around the map. Scatter got picked off as well. Rye onto Kraz. Both vanguards removed, and it's beautiful right now. Absolutely clinical from Sentinel's side as the staggers eventually come out. 1 minute and 50 seconds left now. Nemesis have to regroup.
Yeah, good fight there by Sentinels. I think it kind of got their confidence back, looked more aggressive, didn't have to burn too much. Going to even out in ults here. Amazing, very close as well to getting that supernova. We're going to check out this next fight, but it is more difficult, like I said, for Flyers with Hella on the field. But out of everyone in the sky, Johnny is the one that can avoid that hit scan the most. A ton of escapability and just that natural juke. We had the conversation route using that melee in the sky. It does make you very difficult to land headshots on as your head and body are constantly contorting in weird positions. Just a really good movement technique. And here we go in the sky with a Meteor M. Does find Nectar out of the sky, believe. That's crazy. Good fight there as they continue the space forward. Scatter finds Aramori. It's another pick up for Nemesis on the attack. And they're going to continue pressing forward as Sentinels or just have this dance floor and nothing else.
Yeah, it seems to be enough right now for Team Sentinels. I mean, they're able to kind of push back Team Nemesis. Oh, Kraz again, just a little bit late on the backside with the ultimate, but they're able to find Kurova. Everybody else here towards the point, Goddess of Death as well, is enough to send back Sentinels back towards the spawn.
I mean, Captain America finding 3 after that ult, which I thought was just a slight bit late, is going to be enough for them to push forward and act like they won that fight prior to any of those issues. So well done there by Kraz, who just kind of used that momentum and popped off on Cap, said on your left, and just walked through the enemy team as they go into final fight territory. We do have this Goddess of Death up for Nectar. We do have Aramori ready with the invisible boundary. Same with Ricky. Let's see who gets this done on nearly the final fight.
Ready to go, playing it slow. Nemesis walks on in. The Nectar, again, just looking for those shots, like you mentioned. Goddess of Death, a lot of body shots into him. Aiden, unfortunately, not going to be able to find the elimination, but here he comes into the sky, met by the Meteor M from Scatter, and they delete him out of the Hella form. Yeet into the back line, not able to find the elimination. Boundary towards the carpet. They've already lost Aramori and Nectar. Oh no! Aramori's ultimate is unfortunately all for naught as she goes down. Nemesis wiped the entire floor of Sentinels in overtime. You do have Crimzo to deal with, but what a play from Team Nemesis, able to walk in with their ultimates and secure the final point against Sentinels.
Yeah, I think honestly that's just a 0.2 diff right there. You got to buy some time on 0.2, and they just kind of walked through it. That's a very defensible position, and they kind of just got staggered through until that final fight, and they were forced to use cooldowns and ultimates, which at that point it's just like a, you know, we talk about the slinky effect going down the stairs. It just kept falling down, forcing out ultimates while the opposition didn't have to use anything, and they were just getting more and more value in every fight as Nemesis shoves through all 3. It's their game to lose as we see who gets the top side bracket and who gets the higher seed as we push through the final stages of this group stage.
Yeah, but what a way to do it. What a way to end it. I mean, the Hall of Dajalia, great map to do it on as well. I think we saw that in the previous match with FlyQuest. So, I mean, this seems to be the final map of choice for a lot of pro teams. And, you know, the most tense situations, right, Chib? It seems to be always on this map to end it all, which is kind of exciting. I mean, it's such a good map to end it on just because of how first point is. The streets phase as well can kind of be like Aegis Path where it's snowbally, but we've seen teams hold in the second phase of the map, and right now it's back and forth between these two teams.
Yeah, the fights have been so even. It's just a matter of momentum and staggering. I feel like that's the only difference maker we're seeing in this specific matchup. I do think this is a very defensible map, especially on point 3 with that spawn being so close. It's another one of those maps that Strange can get value out with ultimate should you know, decide to make that switch towards the end, but it is a very defensible 3rd point. So this, like I said, Nemesis, they are looking up. I'm sure they're feeling confident. I'm sure the comms are getting a little bit hesitant as they're shaking a little bit, chasing their way to try to get the top seed and get ever closer to that that 70K from the first start. So here we go with a nice off angle here from Amazing, taking that positioning in building, deciding against it. Gonna get in the line of the strats as Cap plays that assault from the left side. And here we go with our first fight. We do have Magneto holding that positioning forward there for the side of Techie. Techie, obviously a very mean Magneto, gets a ton of value with that left click. Ultimates are gaining on both sides. Right now, Aramori in the lead. Amazing finds a matey. Mello onto Techie, traded again, but that is going to be a Vanguard for a duelist. Which do you find more value with? I do not know. It all depends on this next fight.
All matters for sure coming into this upcoming fight. 3 minutes left now. Team Nemesis still sitting pretty good. I mean, Sentinels trying to set up their rotations, trying to set up their flanks. Amazing in the main side. Now, Mello's understanding where he is, still sitting above the point, right? Just kind of chucking those fireballs, but right at the moment, right, Nemesis just kind of playing back on their side, comfortable to sort of force away the side of Sentinels, and they're doing so again, just walking up, creating a little bit of space. Ultimate's almost built for both Luna Snow players alongside Invisible Boundary, but Ricky's a little bit later with his armor. He has theirs early because they took so much Vanguard damage early on without going down. Here comes a mating over the top side, trying to find an elimination onto his squishy, but has to crow away. Understand Crimzo is there. Shots again coming from Nectar. It's tough to hit that Human Torch in this guy. I mean, he's just so evasive. Now they come in with a dive. Kraz goes in. Hamadian's gonna fall on the opposite side. Rye Amazing's able to get the one shot, and unfortunately the strategist ultimate's a little bit too late. Rye still in here, also has the supernova. So Scatter shuts down Kurova. Invisible Boundary, I mean, that can't save you, Kurova. Unfortunately needed a bit of a shield there from your Magneto, but now Nemesis, they back up. They also have portals from Maiden coming through, so they'll have man advantage in a moment, but the yeet from Techie shuts down Dinks. Supernova as well from Mello in the sky, though. They'll have the teleporter advantage. The Goddess of Death in the sky is trying to get some value, but it's blocked by the Doctor Strange. Rye Amazing able to find Tricky, and Nectar, no way, at the very last second found two onto both the Median and Mello. So with those two eliminations, I don't know if they can even do it with the portal up.
Yeah, no, that was too much right there. Gonna have to force reset. We'll see if the Strange Portal comes in, but I don't think it even has time to spike the switch, so not gonna be seeing that. Well done by Nectar. We haven't seen a ton of value with the Goddess of Death in the sky in this tournament, but that was everything for point one, as Sentinels are gonna ride this momentum with 4 minutes on the clock. They need to show up here on point two. Point two being very defensible like we discussed. This needs to be a fast push if they want enough time to push through point three. We've seen the sweeps in ladder. You understand that sometimes you sweep through, the enemy figures something out, and they do it right back. This could be the case. What a game we have on our hands, as Nemesis wants to showcase they are a top team, and Sentinels wants to show that they are going to remain a top team as we go into our final few minutes of this match.
Ryan trying to take out that Captain America, forcing him away. Now Mello over the top side. Kind of just takes that 1v1, so both of these Captain Americas dealing with each other on the outside, but nobody really creating too much space. However, it's Crimzo on the backline, actually. Just kidding, as he's dove already early onto Ricky, though they trade back Nectar. Doesn't matter. I mean, they've lost Scatter as well. So right now, Nemesis is just getting dismantled. They do commit an ultimate, the Goddess of Death, and it's actually from a pretty good distance as both strategists fall. So they trade it back, and unfortunately, the advantage Sentinels have created, it seems like they lose immediately.
Yeah, I think that was a surprising fight. I didn't expect it to turn out like that. It kind of seemed a little back and forth. Still going to be kind of held at this point as Nemesis is owning the height here. Mel, this is a good defensible position for flyers around this cover. A lot of the cover can be broken, but not the height that you can take. So it works well for something like Torch. There is that natural touching point up there that you can kind of stand on should you need more hiding. Nemesis with Krazeman going to find Kurova early. Mello going to win that 1v1 with the help of the bubble and the invis pocket. Very difficult to win that when you have that kind of cover. Kray's going to take out Nectar, and Techie goes down too as they're just staggering the rest of the team. Goodbye, Aramori.
And this is what we talked about on Araco, that went wrong for Nemesis, right? They were losing multiple fights in a row. Sentinels now losing 2 in a row in the streets phase. 2 minutes left to go. I mean, they need to win desperately, but even if they were to win one here, the cart is in such a weird spot, they might have to fight again, especially without that Doctor Strange portal to block the spawns. It's going to be difficult for Sentinels to snowball this into the third phase of the map, but they do have every single ultimate. Kraz has to commit the Freedom Charge early, does get counter engaged as well with a Supernova and the dance floor committed by Sentinels, but it's met with a Meteor M. Will it find anybody? It's blocked by both the Vanguards. It was blocked by the Captain America and the Magneto. Now, Amazing and crew walking up forward, understanding they have a pretty big advantage in terms of ultimates. Force the dance floor out early from the side of Crimzo. Supernova here, Meteor M to counter it on top of the Invisible Boundary. But Rye, again, takes down Amadian. Oh no, on the flank. Good job from Rye Amazing in the sky, but he's met by Mellow. Scatter trades back Nectar as well, so both of the Hellas are removed. Rye desperately trying to run away. And Team Nemesis, they hold on yet again. This is awful right now for Sentinels as they lost the third fight in a row.
1 minute and a dream here for Nemesis, trying to show up and prove to everyone that they are a team to look out for. Obviously had a ton of success in the past and now are just trying to prove to everyone that they can take a tournament like this home, as Mellow popping off and the entirety of Nemesis is looking really clean on this defensible position. 50 seconds on the clock.
Huge shot from Amadian in the main side as well. They've walked back into his shots many a times. Right now, Nectar has to walk back, right back from spawn. Rye Amazing taking so many pot shots from Amadian. That's why we see this guy as one of the best Hella players in the game. Pops the ultimate early into the backside of Sentinels, who just have to evacuate the location. Is Techie gonna go down as well as wait. Rye Amazing's able to find Crash, so that's something. At least you get rid of the Captain America with all those walls removed. So much damage came down range. Also, you can float now on the map. I mean, 15 seconds left to go. Sentinels do walk up. Last fight territory. Now Nectar does have ultimate ready to go. Amadian just used his. They have nothing on the defensive side. Scatter did just build up the Meteor M, though, to counter Nectar's ultimate potentially, or Rye with the Supernova. But they have to deal with the Vanguards right now. Scatter is just kind of securing this objective, just kind of playing around the payload currently. Here comes Kraz on the backside to at least make sure they're pressured out, but Nectar's there to match him, walks up forward. Do they want to go for this ultimate early? No, they can commit the dance forward to Crimso's Freedom Charge. But oh no, Amadian again takes out Nectar, and now that's a huge ultimate in this fight removed. After that happened, Meteor M comes through, but the bubble's there. Also, the Captain America Freedom Charge to keep him healthy is also here, so that Meteor M not going to find too much as Kraz able to do whatever he wants. Overtime ticks down. It's now or never for Nemesis. The reverse sweep is still possible for them. Scatter misses the Meteor M, unfortunately. Also has to deal with so many fire tornadoes. The invisible boundary keeps him healthy for now. Both teams, I'm sure, are panicking at the current moment, as in last fight territory, no more ults are up. Rye on the flank does take out Amadian, but on the backside, Nectar only finds one. Gets the res on Armori, who just went down, so that's a huge pick from him alongside that resurrect. But oh no, the Vanguards, yet again, Kurova and Techie fall. Nobody else is there, and Sentinels get stopped. Nemesis are your #1 seed out of Group B.
The reverse sweep is real as Nemesis comes back from an 0-2 to take it home. What a W. Nemesis looking insane, and I cannot wait to talk to them about these changes that they made in the conversation. What a W, and so well played by the entirety of the team. But you gotta show some love there to the Torch with the MVP. Well deserved.
Yeah, Mellow, such an improved player, has done such an amazing job on that Human Torch throughout the series and just in general in the Ignite series. I think is leveled up for sure. Same thing with everybody across the board. I mean, Amadian, we already knew how good he is on Hella. I think he's probably a top 3, top 2 Hella currently. You know, we have to see him versus Delena. We have to see him versus some of the other good Hella players, but I think it's a bit of a hard matchup for Nectar, if I'm honest with you. Like, it's not necessarily Nectar's favorite matchup. I think he's like the Psylocke player. He can kind of flex over to the Ultron or the Human Torch, but Rye Amazing, you know, I'm used to him seeing him on the Hella to match the other side. I mean, obviously it's Amadian. I think it's going to be hard to match him with both duelist players, but right now, I mean, well deserved by Team Nemesis. What a reverse sweep from them. It's the first we've seen in this tournament, at least in this best out of 5 series.
Yeah, I like to call out to Amadian there on the Hella. He has always had a very strong Hella play, and it's finally coming into fruition here. We haven't seen a lot of it in this tournament in general. Hella kind of taking a back seat, but when you do have Torch up, it does help kind of bide some time and also put some pressure on so that Torch can't be free to just dominate. But when you have a Hella on your side that is popping off, it enables the entirety of your team to take space just due to the raw damage of every left click. 14 finals there for Amadian. Mellow right behind with 13, and then Kraz, man, you got to show some extra love to a Cap with 11 final hits, and that is a tough thing to do on a hero that is known for just distracting and not necessarily known for getting a ton of picks.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, both of the Vanguards, you said Kraz, you said Scatter. I mean, they're so good currently on Nemesis. That for sure can't be understated. I mean, no diss to Techie or you know, Crimzo, but right now for Team Nemesis, I mean, they're looking like a pretty good unit. I think I'd be scared of them in Group B or coming out of Group B, because I think every team that's competed, you know, had to go against both Nemesis and Sentinels, and it's been kind of a not a slaughter on the side. It's been very, you know, back and forth. I think between every series series we've seen. And Sentinels definitely don't seem to be that team that is the #1 seed right now. It's Nemesis. In terms of their ban phase, it worked out perfectly. And as these teams kind of progress, Shib, it's looking like, we're seeing a more defined meta.
Yeah, I think they just kind of steamrolled. I think that when we saw Nemesis on that point two, it was almost game, just mentally. They shoved through point three relatively quickly. It was just a momentum shift. Ever since that first win, I cannot believe we saw this reverse sweep. First time in this tournament, a full reverse sweep. So well played. You never give up. Anything can happen. The power of belief. What a bunch of beauties as they shove right through. And I can't believe it. Now are the top seed on bracket B.
Yeah, I mean, I had to eat my words, I'll be honest. I had to eat my words. I was talking about like how Sentinels is getting #1 seed earlier on map 2, and then they cast their curse almost for Sentinels as Team Nemesis. I mean, they looked so good. Obviously we don't have any favorites here, so for Team Nemesis, that's huge for them. We're happy to see a team succeed such as Nemesis when, a tournament like this is a great way to perform, to show your skills, to show your how good your org is, how good your teammates are and your players are. Right now, Nemesis look like a team to beat for sure out of Group B, like you mentioned, and they, in this Human Torch composition are going to be really tough to beat.
Yeah, they've always been known as old Shikigami as a team that can do some unique things and come back from difficult situations. They used to call it the Shikigami slingshot, and they definitely just pulled the old bow backwards and shot forward there, taking back the sweep. Nemesis looked so good, but we are going to have a conversation with Artie, the head coach, and I can't wait to get into the thought process behind this sweep and what their discussions were. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hey guys, doing pretty good. Obviously, we're feeling really, really solid after that. I mean, hey, we got 100% win rate in the rematches so far, so.
Gotta love to see it. I have the biggest question I have for you is, what were the comms like in that 2-0 when you were down 2? Was it just a let's try to get 1, or how did that look?
So, I mean, the comms were mostly just about like the overall game plan of just, hey, what's been working, what hasn't been working. In our scrims, we have been practicing sort of very set things, but we could tell that Sen has also been very much targeting certain things against us. So on that third map, I just sort of went up and I was like, hey guys, what if we just stopped with the mag protect and we just protect the torch? Because at the end of the day, Melophobia, he is the brightest in the sky, and so you got to play to the player's strengths. The other thing as well is noticing who on the other team we can try to target against. Crimzo is you just take away his Captain America, there's really nothing else he could play. So
yeah, no, you could see that. What's up, Artie? By the way, good to see you again. Obviously from China in a different NetEase game. It's good to talk to you again. And obviously, you guys are looking pretty good. I mean, you talked about how your team is definitely going to be making it far and making some waves right now. And you can see why. I think that this team was a perpetual dark horse, kind of like from Shikigami now moving over to Team Nemesis. What sort of changed, I think, in the roster? What is the biggest thing that you would say Team Nemesis has done differently over the course of the past couple weeks?
Mostly, I think it's just been confidence, and it's just been getting reps in. I think that not much has changed with the players over the last few weeks. I mean, obviously, when they joined into Nemesis, the only change in the roster is adding me into the mix, and I haven't really done much. I have just been sort of on the sidelines, just making sure that the team is practicing to their strengths, doing the best that they can every single day in scrims, and making sure that we're learning from everything. I think that as the players just sort of gain confidence and they gain the understanding like, hey, we are one of the best teams in the world, hey, we are one of the best teams to do it, then they stop sort of really hyper focusing on sort of the bigger picture of the mistakes. Just like, oh, like, I think we have to change this and this. Is like, no, clean up the small stuff and your big stuff is fine already.
The next question, from a coaching perspective, I've always wondered, when you guys switched over to Guardians on that hard pocket of torch, and first of all, I love the mellow, brightest in the sky, really cool line, obviously, but when you made that Guardian switch to counter the hard pocket torch, is that the answer? Is that the answer that teams need to be looking for?
I mean, triple support res comp is just so strong, right? And we were running pretty much only triple support res for, I think, 2.5 weeks in scrims. Like, straight up, we have not been doing much other than just practicing. So we have a lot of reps in on it, but it is a very, very strong comp against a lot of different things. And so if they leave it open, we have that as an option to pivot to. The call is always going to be like, hey, the worst case scenario, doesn't matter what they run. If whatever we're doing isn't working, add them triple support res comp.
That would make sense. No, you can see exactly why. I mean, that comp is absolutely disgusting, like you said already. And now, you know, going up against Ego Death, that seems to be the team you guys will be playing. And, you know, we've seen them kind of have an upset win over FlyQuest on the Black Panther sort of compositions. I know that's a entirely different sort of puzzle to solve. I mean, it seems like they got solved on the upper, you know, in their side of the upper bracket and the lower bracket earlier on in the tournament. But, you know, what is it like for you as the coach of this team of Team Nemesis to kind of figure out how to play against the comp like that with Ego Death on the Black Panther and then they're just dive comps in general?
Yeah, I mean, we had a scare with Black Panther the last time we went up against Sentinels for sure. And so now there's another team that runs Black Panther. Okay, kind of scary, but at the same time, in scrims, we've never been worried about Ego Death. I love those guys. They're super great scrim partners. And so it's going to be kind of fun to run it back with them since it's been a few weeks since we played. But I think that we're not so worried about their comps. We're not really worried about Black Panther. I think that for us, we were kind of scared that if we lost today, we would go up against Envy. So I think it's better that we're up against Ego Death. Like, this was, once we realized, like, hey, we're going up against Sentinels, it's like, okay, we'll watch the finals to see what happens, but we're not losing tomorrow. Like, we can't lose against Sentinels. It's fourth seed or nothing.
You heard it here first. The battle of the scrim partners coming up here next weekend. Do you have any major things you want to, it's been a pleasure talking to you, first of all. Do you have anything you want to say to teams, the players, anyone you want to thank? Now's your time.
Oh, I mean, just huge shout out to everybody at Nemesis. Like, all of the players, so good. Every single one of them has been putting in a ton of work. Even our substitute players, they're always there when they can be. And honestly, every single one of them has been putting in the effort to get us here. And so just a huge shout out to them. Big shout out to FlyQuest actually as well. FlyQuest has been warming us up before a lot of our matches. We've been warming up FlyQuest for a lot of their matches. And honestly, I'm really hoping for FlyQuest versus Nemesis, sort of like grand finals. But honestly, a big shout out to you guys as well. I love watching the cast, and Dustin, it's good to see you on this side as well. So honestly, huge thanks for being here, and thanks for bringing us out.
Appreciate you. Thanks for the kind words. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks, Artie. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Hopefully, get to see you on the desk in the future.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Well, it's Artie from Nemesis.